I could probably mute. Oh, that looks cool. I like it. Now I'm gonna check the sound.
Not on the tub yet.
Yeah.
There
So
it is.
I've got VHS noises going on as well.
There it
So
is.
I've got VHS noises going on as well.
Nothing yet. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, it's there. Alright, now our sounds are coming through, so let me try something.
milkshake. I drink it up.
Donnie,
Yeah.
Gus German here wants to dock the country. Oblige him.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hell, I can get you towed by 3 o'clock this afternoon with nail polish.
We have you 4-1.
I like those odds.
It's the Smoking Hot Nerds podcast. There we go. Almost the most seamless of transitions just now. But I think we got it. We're rolling. Live.
We're about a minute, 30 seconds behind on YouTube.
Come on, YouTube. Get
There
with
it
it.
is.
Welcome to the Smoking Hot Nerds podcast. Old Thursday night special. One of our very first podcasts was actually, I think, the original Wonder Woman. And so it's exciting to bring it back around after almost a whole calendar year of the revival of the Smoking Hot Nerds podcast. Now we're back at talking about that wonderful woman.
Forget her name. Wonderful lady.
Oh, it's too soon.
True. I
right.
can't even
No
just
joking.
do that
Come
voice
on.
anymore.
Let me check my comment moderation, make sure that we're good. People can only comment every 10 seconds.
I heard, was that a tin whistle, kazoo? Or did you open something that whistled?
I don't know.
Was it someone's nose?
Ah, it was the nitro ball. Nice. I heard
Yeah.
those.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I've learned I have to like barely touch it and it releases the gas, or else it just foams and bubbles.
Yeah.
They're pretty good at this can though.
Nice. Oh, yeah. Straight up Guinness cans.
Mhm.
It's been a minute.
Yeah. A long minute.
It was a gift from a friend.
A GIF from
It's
a
good
friend?
It was a GIF. He sent me a GIF and I'm drinking it.
It's an endless supply of Guinness.
Mhm.
Yeah, put that on a loop. Glug, 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 glug.
That's a nice
glug,
friend.
Glug, 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 glug.
Give me a vine of Guinness. Yeah. Just on a loop.
I'm going to share our live stream real quick on the Facebook. And we're live. As I like to share.
We're live.
We're live. Yeah, apparently
Is he? He's somewhere, I guess.
I saw somebody post something saying that wasn't relevant anymore or like nice to say or something like that. Like,
We're doing it live.
yeah, like that's so passe, like it's not funny anymore or whatever. I'm like, I think it's hilarious.
Oh, it's gonna always be funny. That
Yeah.
will never change. It's
It never will change.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, he would have to do something atrocious, like encourage a bunch of white supremacists to charge the Capitol for me to stop.
Hey, save it for later. Save it.
what happened? What are you talking about?
If you don't know, that's even better because
It's much better.
That'd be
it's such like a. For the
There it is.
podcast listeners, I have stuffed my head into the ground and am repeatedly kicking my own face.
From watching
it's
Wonder
pretty
Woman.
impressive. Watching it.
You mean loving it?
So we will not have a huge fight tonight because this is not a battle worth fighting. But I think in the tier of loving it to hating it, I'm probably closer on the love spectrum. Nico's closer on the hate spectrum. And Eric, are you somewhere in the middle? Is that kind of where we're at?
Yep, I am. I'm like kind of. Well, I'm not fully indifferent,
Yeah.
but I'm. My overall is I'm a little on the indifferent side.
Because it gives a. It depends on how you watched it. In
That's
all
fair.
ways.
Yeah.
Whether you were drunk or sober, what your expectations were, how you saw it right out of the beginning, because it's two different movies in one movie, and it can really screw you up if you think it's going to be one thing going into it because it's not. But which I'll
Yeah.
explain. I'll explain a little bit later. So
Yeah, I constructively dislike this movie. I'm not in the realm of just I hate it. Why? I don't know. I just hate it. That's not where I'm coming from at all.
Too many women. What else?
right, not enough Mandalorian. What
Yeah.
else?
That's true.
Yeah. I did listen to a lot of other people's opinions just because I was very curious to hear. Surprise, surprise, most shows like ours are white dudes our age. So
What?
yeah, I know. It's really weird. But one of the things that I thought was really interesting was everybody had the same points except for one guy. And one guy went off on how he thinks Pedro Pascal is a terrible actor. And the guy said he's been struggling this season in The Mandalorian. I'm like, he's not a football player. It's not like he's been having a rough time and he tore his ACL. Like, what do you mean struggling?
Spot,
Yeah.
got a little turf toe.
Voice in the helmet.
Yeah, exactly.
He's struggling, folks.
Or as if he only gets certain lines with his helmet off if he plays good. Maybe I don't know what the dude was talking about, but there's a lot of blowhards out there. And I would have to say that I feel like we are better blowhards than most. I think we say more intelligent things. And
I know I blow better than most.
Well, we all know that. Thank goodness.
Oh, yeah, you do. You're welcome.
You're welcome. People think that we're doing this on Zoom, but it's just for fun. All those toys are under my desk.
Hey, quiet you.
Yeah. So Wonder Woman 84. Who wants to give the whole thing? Because I'll do it. I'm not scared.
I don't think it should be me. I think it should
Yeah.
be someone who has stronger feelings about it.
Yeah. Well, I have.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Punch it out.
So essentially, this
Wrong.
is the film.
Wrong, Jack Jamon.
Try harder. The movie opens in a flashback of Diana Prince, the princess of the Amazon. What do they call her? Is that what they call her? Princess? Yeah, they call her that, right?
Yeah, because she's princess to the
Yeah.
queen. Yeah.
Which, let's not get into the whole Amazons thing, living in an island that's created by the gods. But anyway, they're having what we could call the CrossFit / what's that show that
American
Netflix?
Ninja Warrior.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
/ the Japanese one that's in the States now, where people run and they get hit by padded
Oh,
things.
like-
Wipeouts.
Wipeout?
Yeah,
Oh,
Wipeout.
I thought you were talking about what is that? It's not like Howl's Moving Castle, but it's like Fantasy Castle Fun Time or something like
Right.
that.
Or that Nickelodeon one where you had to run around the house
Guts.
and slide and do all kinds of stuff. So it's basically the American Ninja
Temple.
Warrior for incredibly fit ladies.
Right.
And
Spartan race.
it's Spartan race. Yeah, it's an endurance race. It's Aaron Schaefer's favorite thing to do. But
Right now.
girls. So that's how the movie starts. But the thing is, it's all of these unbelievably fit Amazonian ladies, and Diana Prince is like 9. And so
Yeah,
we are watching her race in this race, which it's this giant mess of CG things happening all over the place. Them running on poles, jumping off into lakes that are clearly like 90 feet deep, riding
That
horses.
wasn't real?
Oh, it was real. That was all live. That was all done practically. And by the end, the 9-year-old finds a way to win, kind of by cheating, but in my opinion, she was just being,
She skipped a checkpoint.
yeah, but she was being kind of crafty with the fact that she missed, that her horse kicked her off. Anyways, that said, she's about to win when Robin Wright, in a horrible spray tan, stops her from winning and says this whole diatribe about how there's no shortcut to being the greatest. There's no shortcut to
Endless
being a hero.
platitudes.
Yeah, this whole platitudes thing that honestly did. So I was almost out right here because the speech that she gives and then her mom shows up and gives her more speech, it seemed to go on for so long that I was like, I don't know if they're going to keep going back to these platitudes, like keep flashing back. I'm probably going to have to not watch this movie.
Because it was like a quotes book, inspirational quotes type, or like leadership quotes, and they were just going page after page, just reading, and that was the script. Was just like, a leader does not take shortcuts. In order to be a hero, you blah blah blah. Let's see, boom boom boom.
Yeah, they had like a motivational day calendar.
Yeah.
September 30th. Buy your coworkers donuts. No, that one doesn't apply. That one doesn't apply.
Wait. Get that one out of here. Okay. Yeah.
It would have been better if her mom was just pulling fortune cookies out of her pocket and opening it up and eating it while she was reading one, and they go, "Oh, and this is how you say chair in Chinese." And it was like that. It just kept going and going.
Yeah.
But
these are your lottery numbers.
Yeah. Thankfully that stopped. That ended. That was it. That's all we get of the flashback. That's it.
Yeah.
We'll go back to why I think that was really annoying. But so flash forward to 1984, and we have basically like cold open number 2. Like that was our cold open, and then we get a cold open number 2 of Wonder Woman stopping a mall robbery. And in this mall robbery, it's setting us up that these robbers were going in to steal some antiques that were being held in sort of this back room behind a jewelry store in the mall as sort of like their like back, their little
like a fence.
Yeah. So they're using it as their front to do this. What do you call that? What do you call it? Black market. I was trying to think Blacklist, and then all I could think of was the guy who played Ultron.
James Spader.
Yeah, my brain went down a rabbit hole fast on that one. So
wrong universe.
Yeah, right. So then Wonder Woman saves the day. Everything's great. We get introduced to her in her job as a person in a museum.
Like curator or
Museum
something.
lady.
Executive curator.
Yeah. We get introduced to Kristen Wiig's character, who's the bumbling, I'm kind of a dork. And then we get introduced to the Mandalorian's character, where he's this sort of slick 80s, what do you call those things, like QVC type of guy.
Yeah, he's the as seen on TV guy from the
exactly.
80s.
For investing in his oil rigs. He's going out, he's digging for oil. You can be a part of my, scheme. Oh my God, this movie's going to take a long time to describe. So
just pop.
Yeah, we're just going to pop through. So pretty soon, boom, 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 Mandalorian's like, hey, I'm looking for this rock. And Wonder Woman and Kristen Wiig earlier were like, oh, hey, this rock's kind of weird. And Diana Prince kind of has this idea, oh, she knows what this rock is. This rock grants wishes to people who have it. So it's basically the genie in the bottle that Nick said last week. When she kind of figures out what this thing is, she wants to go back and retrieve it, sees it's gone. Well, wouldn't you know it, the Mandalorian stole it, because he seems to know what it is for some inexplicable reason. The thing is, if you're holding the rock, you can make a wish. Your wish will be granted. Wonder Woman, before the rock gets stolen, she wishes to have, we assume, her love return, a.k.a. Chris Pine. Once Max Lord, who's the Mandalorian's character, has the rock, he wishes to be the rock. He wants to be the wishing stone. So effectively being that if anyone wishes something while touching him, it comes true. But, and I didn't catch this part, how this worked, he can also wish something back and essentially take something from the wisher.
Right, he dictates the cost.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. Dictates the cost of why,
Right, nothing is free, but it's like, I will, like, an example is with the Amir in the Middle East somewhere. He's like, I wish I had my city back and all the infidels were gone. Like, and so like the walls go up, and then he basically dictates the cost of like, great, all your men and property are mine.
Right. That's how it is. So there's a give and take.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So moving forward, Wonder Woman's out on the prowl doing her thing, and suddenly this man approaches her and says that line from the original Wonder Woman that only one man that we all remember, that we know only one person could say. And yes, you are correct. It was Steven Tyler. What's his name? Steven Trevor, played by Chris Pine. We can call him Steve Trevor. We can call him Steve Ryan,
both
Steve
funny.
Rogers.
We just
yeah,
call him
Steve
Catface.
Rogers, yeah, all the things. So essentially, what's happened is Wonder Woman got her wish. Her love of her life from 1918 returned. But he returned inside of a different person's body. So his spirit is in him, but the guy's face and everything else is still the guy.
He quantum leaped.
He quantum leaped, exactly.
Yeah.
But Wonder Woman has this. Now, here's the thing. Like, I hate it and love it at the same time. Because, for one, it's kind of cheap because you could have just brought him back. But having him inside of a person's body, they did a great job, and I don't know who wrote the line, if Patty Davis or whatever, and who wrote the line, but said, well, the world sees him, but all I see is you. And so there it is. So that's how we get by, like, Wonder Woman only seeing Chris Pine's face this whole time. We'll go back to this point. So anyways, Chris Pine's back. He's with Wonder Woman. It's a great old time. But Kristen Wiig, she wishes, innocently at first, to be like Diana Prince. Stylish, tall, strong, beautiful, all these things. And she gets it. Suddenly she's sexy and popular. She's got great shoes, and she's like crushing it. Which eventually starts to show that she actually got Wonder Woman's powers. So she can actually like has these superpowers, which is pretty cool. So as we're moving forward, Max Lord, the Mandalorian's character, continues to be stronger and stronger and stronger, eventually work himself up to being to the White House. And he asks the president, what do you wish, Mr. President, who's sort of like this Ronald Reagan type, well, it's supposed to be Ronald Reagan, I get it, but could have deep faked it or something, I think. But still, they have this conversation. The president wishes for whatever, and in return, Max Lord takes over the satellites, thereby being able to broadcast to the entire world, make your wish, I will make it come true. So the whole world begins to wish their crazy wishes, and so everything turns into chaos because we're meant to believe and we're meant to feel that the entire world is basically making horrible, selfish wishes. So everything's turning to heck. We see like little bits where a guy's having a fight with his wife at the bar, and he says, I wish you dropped dead, and she does. Things like that. So this is all happening as Max Lord is transmitting his power through the satellites to the entire world. Meanwhile, Kristen Wiig's character gets granted a second wish by Max Lord to become an alpha,
Apex Predator.
An apex predator, thereby being changed into a cheetah.
Not a T-Rex or a Megalodon.
Or, I mean, there's a lot. I saw.
wish she was just a megalodon on land and she just suffocates and dies.
Would be much of a fight. I did see a list of things that she could have been turned into. One was a killer whale.
Virus. Killer orca.
Yeah, an orca. Another one was, I think, like a sea otter is considered an apex predator too. So
in their environment, they're at the top.
Which would have been great if she just came out with tusks and like a big mustache, and that was it.
That's a walrus.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, you're right. Yeah.
Oh, now we're back to the Matt doesn't know animals game.
Sea otters are. Oh yeah. They're cute.
You know a sea otter?
Yeah. Wings.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Perseus on the back.
Y'all know them.
Yeah, we love them. So this creates obviously a tension between Wonder Woman, because now the Cheetah Lady, also known as Chitara, who's a legitimate bad guy, I think, in DC Comics.
Yep, real character.
Which is kind of unfortunately a little bit wasted, but we'll get to that. They have their big fight scene at the end. Oh, but I should say before that, though, Wonder Woman has determined that if you renounce your wish will go away, but in theory, things will turn back to normal. So she renounces her wish to kind of get the ball started, renounces her wish. I will, we can't have you, Steve. So Steve goes back to where he came from. And not to mention that this is by this point, she's actually been with him for 5 total days in her entire life. So it's we'll get back to that as well. So she renounces her wish, and she tries to get everybody else in the world to renounce their wish by lassoing Max Lord with the lasso of truth and essentially convincing him to ask everyone to renounce their wishes. And if they do that, then all the wishes will go away and everything in the world will become normal. Of course, during her fight with Chitara will not renounce her wish because she's too popular. She's too cheetah-y.
Drunk with power.
Yeah, like, why would I want to do that? And she eventually...
And also, the thing that's taken away from her is her kindness and her humanity. So
right.
She's become more and more of this...
Exactly.
Ex-predator that's out to kill.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, because Wonder Woman at one point starts to see that she's losing her powers, and that's part of the trade-off of getting Steve Martin back. So, next thing you know, Chitara has been electrocuted because cats can't swim. She's got Max Lord by the lasso of truth. People, the whole world renounce their wishes. Everything stops, but it doesn't go back to normal, and that's kind of the thing. Everybody's wishes get reversed, but everything's still in turmoil. Fires are still raging. Buildings are still burning. Like, things are still happening, even though everyone's renounced their wish. But in theory, it goes back to normal. And so Max Lord goes back to some random field where his kid's hiding in the bushes, and they have a nice reuniting, like, oh, Daddy, I didn't need you to be tough. I love you anyway. So, oh, great. They have their thing, and then Wonder Woman is suddenly in a beautiful winter wonderland, and she bumps into Steve Tyler's
Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
Hallmark movie.
Yep.
And then Chris Pine's body, the guy whose body he was inhabiting, they bump into each other. They wish each other a Merry Christmas. And she looks at a balloon, and the movie ends. That's kind of it in a nutshell. Yeah. So we heard a preview of what you hated about it, Nico. So let's start with Eric. Go with why you were right in the middle on this one.
So I guess I'll back up. So way back when they had
beginning.
the first trailer come out, I went, oh, this looks fun.
Yeah.
I might enjoy this. It's more 80s nostalgia crap that's being shoved down our throats daily, but okay, sure, whatever. This seems fun. I enjoyed the funness of the characters and the fish out of water type stuff. So, okay, now he's going to be a fish out of water, I guess.
Right.
Steve Martin.
Trevor.
Yeah.
And just pick a last name. They're all good.
Steve Stevens.
Yeah. Steve Stevenson.
Tyler, yeah. So I went, okay, this looks interesting. And then pandemic happens. It doesn't come out. They don't release. And then you hear, oh, it's going to be dropped on HBO Max. Okay, well, interesting. And then another trailer comes out, and all of a sudden, I just have no interest.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, I don't care now. And this is before I've heard anything about the movie. And then shortly after that, reviews start coming in, and they're all like, oh, this thing's a walking turd.
Yeah.
And so then I went, oh, okay. And then, Nico, I hear your impression. So I'm walking into this guy going, okay, I'm expecting hot garbage.
Yes.
Now, is it hot garbage that I will enjoy, right? Because I got to a point where I
does it turn
I'm not
for
interested, but now people are pissing on it so much.
Right.
Maybe I am interested.
Yeah.
So I went into it and got myself prepared properly, as I do with hot garbage, and watched. And I think there's a lot of unevenness. It felt ultimately to me like it was like a big TV episode of a thing. It didn't really feel like a big blockbuster movie. It certainly didn't feel like a tentpole movie. There's not a ton of action. Not that I really care that there's not a ton of action. There's a whole lot of like in between scenes. And it's just weird. The some of the emotional little things hit fine. But yeah, it was long. It was
2.5 hours.
Yeah, it's very long.
They insist on making 2.5 hour movies. Aquaman 2.5 hours. It's like, oh man. While you're trying to find your direction, can we not do 2.5 hours? Can you not settle on that always being a thing? I guess the studio, I think, wanted to tell Patty Jenkins to chop some stuff out, and she didn't. So whatever.
Well,
Thank goodness.
Stand behind that. Man, it's just weird. I don't know what the heck I think of it. I liked the actors. I thought the performances were fine.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Pedro Pascal was fine. He was like properly hammy. Certainly, I guess there's a lot of things where people are going, "Oh, he's too Trump-like," and I go, "I guess, yeah, certainly." They're trying to draw those things.
That comparison, and I just like I guess I don't see the world through that lens. Like everything has to be.
I'm not wanting to look for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I can just see a greedy dude in the 80s that's not making it, that wants to make it, and so he kind of makes a deal with the devil.
Yeah, basically.
And it almost destroys him. So that's all I saw. But I get, when you look at it and you go, oh, this is about truth, and her platitudes at the end. Like when she has the lasso on him and is telling the world to take back their wishes, she's got a book full of quotes that she's reading off frantically, like, yeah, you must. I don't remember anything. I'm trying to like make fun of one of them, and I don't remember what the hell she said.
Well, I'm curious, why though? Why after the second trailer? What was the thing about the second trailer that you saw it, and then you were like, I don't have any interest in this anymore?
Was it cat butthole?
Oh, I mean, that would have made me more interested.
That's what I'm saying. There's no there's no cat butthole. You're like, oh, come on.
For some reason, and maybe it was just like the wait, where it's like, oh, I've waited forever. Like I've waited forever with these movies.
Yeah.
And I think I just have lost interest. Like I'm not a person now who gets like, ooh, I can't wait till blah blah comes out. And after the pandemic, especially, I'm like, who cares?
Meh.
Whatever, I'll watch it. Yeah, I just don't care anymore. I'll see a thing when it's out. Maybe I'll be excited, but I don't know if I get excited anymore. Maybe, I don't know.
Right.
I enjoyed The Mandalorian, and even that, I'm like, I saw an episode. Cool, that happened. All right, what's next? I don't know.
Nothing's exciting you right now. That's okay. So there's a lot to choose from. That's the problem.
And it's not even saying that. Well, I watched. We'll get to it. I watched Raised by Wolves finally. And I
nice.
Did like some stuff about that. Anyways. I don't even know what to say about this movie. One thing I think, in terms of tone, I think there's a lot of goofy.
Yeah.
And one thing that I remember that stuck out to me early on was in the mall scene. It's really hokey. Like people have said, it's kind of like Superman fights, kind of like old Superman, Chris Reeves, kind of like hokey fun. Oh, it's campy, whatever. And it was. And there's an extra that's like on a balcony when they're in the mall. And I think, I don't know what happens if it's when the guy has the kid and he's going to put the kid over the balcony and you think the kid's going to fall and get, die. And there's like a woman extra that like, I swear she looks at the camera and goes like, is this the movie we're in? Like her eyes go, is this what we're in for? And I was like, oh, there it is. Okay. That's the little meta moment.
Yeah. It totally felt, it was one of the reasons I liked the movie was because it felt like the old Christopher Reeves Superman. So it felt of that era. Yeah. The 70s to 80s. Yeah. But then I heard somebody compare it to like Sam Raimi Spider-Man. And I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely what it felt like. Yeah. Which is not a style I like by any means, but the movie opened like an 80s movie would open. It opened like those movies. So I was kind of like after the second cold open, I was on the ride because I instead said, oh good, we're just going to watch nostalgia for 2 hours. I actually instead was like, okay, what if I watch this like it's made in 1984?
Right.
Then it works. It actually works. You can disagree.
All right.
But that's why I liked it. Because it felt like an 80s movie in that respect.
That's fair. Yeah. The pacing, the dialogue, the stuff like that, right. It was definitely very 80s.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was on purpose or on accident.
I hope it was on purpose.
I don't know, man. Like the only reason
Yeah.
the only reason they did 1984, and I will applaud them for this, is because they fixed the Captain America Iron Man problem, which is when in the Captain America movie, when Hydra attacks Shield and like takes down the entire Shield network, it's just Captain America. But at this time, the Avengers existed. So like, no. The minute somebody pushes that button, Iron Man's there, like everyone's showing up.
Yeah.
So they did it in 1984 because Bruce Wayne was like 12. And I think, Superman was like 14, 16, something like that. So they weren't like in the range of assistance.
According to the current DC timeline, that's confusing in and of itself.
Yeah. So I had to look it up.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Like current timeline canon.
Yeah.
They went into the 80s so that there wouldn't be like the old Superman would just show up and take care of this. Like they removed that problem, which is something that like Aquaman didn't do. Is when that giant tsunami is taking out Aquaman's village. Yeah, that's when Superman shows up and goes, blows it up, just freezes all the water, and then calls it, gives him a little wink and a nod and flies away.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Now, here's the thing, though.
I got a list.
I heard this on another chat. It might have been Red Letter or somebody, where they asked, okay, so if this does take place in 84 and Bruce Wayne is like 14 or whatever, wouldn't he have wished for his parents to be back or something like that? And then his parents are back, and then there's no way Bruce Wayne is renouncing that wish.
Right.
Yeah.
So we need to get into this, is that it's implied that everyone on Earth might, or if it's just Pedro Pascal's character undoes his wish, that undoes everything ultimately.
Yes.
So I
He's
think
the
that's
reset
their way
button.
out.
Gotcha.
Yeah. He's the reset button because his wish was to become the Wish Stone. And so if he renounces his wish, that means that he's no longer the Wish Stone. And then there's the trickle down effect of like everything falls apart underneath
Trickle
it.
down. Nice.
The old trickle down.
Like that?
Yeah.
80s child. Yeah. Yeah. No, that was their release valve, was that if he renounces his wish, then everything that he has done is undone.
Okay.
Because I had the same thought too. Well, no, because I even had, that was one of the reasons I didn't like the plot, was because Lex Luthor exists. There are villains, and while Max Lord is doing this grand, well, maybe not Luthor was younger,
12 too, or whatever.
But what I'm
it's
getting,
annoying Jesse Eisenberg now.
But in general,
So he's not born.
there are sociopathic, megalomaniac people at any given stage in time, right?
Right.
So when Pascal's when Lord is reaching out saying, "Make your wishes," you can't tell me that one other person wasn't like, well, I want to be Max Lord.
Right, yeah.
Which then then crushes the so that's why I don't like the plot, because I don't like the genie in the bottle story of like, I think it's clever that I grant a wish, but I get to dictate the cost. That's clever. But the concept of the wishes and then the global broadcast of wishes was like, that's where it fell off, because like the logistics of that was just like, I guarantee at least one person said, I want to be more powerful than Max Lord.
Right.
And also, you didn't get a feeling that he was making those bargains, because if it's like
the cost
of lists
discussion
are coming at him. And so the one thing they do visually is every time a wish is made, it gets windy.
Right.
And so it's like, oh, it's real windy, and Wonder Woman can't.
He did do
the
because the cost that he didn't anticipate was by becoming the Wish Stone, it was costing his health. So there is a point where he does say like, he's like, I wish for your health, or your. So I think that was why he reached out, because he's like, if I'm going to do these massive wishes, you can just assume that like, just check the box for your health as the cost, so that I don't implode. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but I think there's also that like
where he gets better and he's like, I'm strong again.
Yeah.
Yes, more wishes.
That's exactly how it went.
That's probably verbatim.
Yeah.
I'm strong again. More wishes.
More wishes.
Yeah, give me the wish blender. Yeah. No, I didn't like it because the other thing that I didn't like about it.
Yeah.
Another big problem I had was this is the second Wonder Woman movie and the third time we've seen her. So the problem with it being the second one is that you have precedent from the first. And the precedent from the first was I don't need men. I literally do not need anyone.
I'm a strong, independent woman.
Right. And then this movie is basically her just going, what? I made Steve show my
Which
life.
is totally fine if this movie took place in
not.
1921.
Yes.
So if this was like
60 years
not
later.
62
years.
Yeah, something like that.
Roughly.
No one thinks about it that long. And if you do, then you're not Wonder Woman.
Well, even to the effect of like, she could no longer return to Themyscira. That was determined in the first movie that once you leave, you're not exiled, but you can't come back. So then she meets Man for the first time, and it's like, whoa, these are feelings. This is great. What's this? We're gonna go into a barn and do it. Cool. I love you, Steve. And then Steve dies. Right. And then 60 some years she pines away. Like, listen, Steve was this sounds terrible. Steve was a puppy in her world. Like Steve was a small 5-day pet.
Yeah,
like,
at most, right?
She did not have enough of an interaction with him to have that ruin her life, considering she didn't even know about quote unquote men for we can assume she's what, like 25 something on the island, or not, or if not older, but younger because she's a god. Like she's got 200 something, actually no, whenever the fall was, like 300 500 years of age, in which she was totally fine without a dude. And you can't tell me that like one guy comes in and just like wipes all that away.
And if you watch the original, which I did not too long ago.
Yeah, we did too.
Which,
we watched the original.
by the way, the World War II stuff, I would say
World
War I stuff, I would say like Act 2 to Act 3 holds up.
Yeah.
Act 1, not so much. And the end, act like with like the fighting with the guy from Harry Potter, it's just not good. But the chunk in the middle is really good because it just feels like a war movie. And so that part's great. But when it gets to the point where they kind of have their moment and they kind of kiss and then he gets on the plane and blows himself up, it's awkward because you're like, you guys don't know each other that well, and suddenly like you're in love and kissing. Like it doesn't work for a love story at all. And so then compounded by the fact that she's been pining away for him for 70 years just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, then the other, like you said, so it's like, let's just assume that that's fine.
Okay.
You made a wish on one of the most powerful, like God created artifacts, and it puts him in another body.
Right.
But then when people, like other people make wishes and these giant ancient walls rise up out of the ground and like separate a city.
Yeah.
Like you telling me you couldn't reincarnate Chris Pine?
Yeah.
Like we have to deal with this soul in a body nonsense. Like get out of here.
Right. Because it's, go ahead.
No, you go.
Right. Like it's just setting up that like, oh, she is going to find her way out by dating that was the perfect dude for her, but she just had to have her old dead boyfriend inhabit his body for a while to be able to open her mind to the fact that maybe this guy's good for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
it's so bad.
Let's also flash forward or flash back to, was it Justice League where Batman sends her the photo of them all together from World War I?
No.
I think it's the end of Batman Superman.
That's what it is. So the end of Batman versus Superman, she gets the
there's a couple of times that the
case.
photos show up. No, the case is in Wonder Woman.
Well, whatever.
I only know that because we just watched it, and that shows up because the Wonder Woman starts with her like walking through the museum, and then somebody from Wayne Enterprises delivers the thing. She opens it up, and it's the lithograph photo, and then we flash back to when all that occurred. Because then at the end of the movie, it comes back to it, and she's got the watch, and
she says, "Thank you for bringing him back to me."
Yes,
but he came back to her in 1984. So that's where I was also kind of annoyed, where I was like, wait, but they were together in 1984. So, and she had the
saying they
photo in her
retconned
apartment, right? right?
Yes.
But she had the photo in her apartment, right?
Right.
In this movie.
No,
Yeah, I think
no.
it was, no?
Well,
if it was
so
that one.
the,
She
the,
had
the,
others.
A
the
different one?
only reason that could get twisted is because the note from Wayne says, I found the original.
Oh, okay.
So it's entirely plausible that
Gotcha.
a copy has been made or whatever,
Mhm.
whatever.
I really wish that her old copy was just crudely drawn stick figures with crayons that she made. It just looks horrible.
It's like a
Someone
copper
drew it with
etching.
their opposite hand, and it just
Yeah.
didn't go well. Or it looked maybe it'd be great if she had a tattoo of all of them on her, but it was really badly done portraits of each of them.
Yeah.
I mean, you and Bremner would not look good as a tattoo, even if you did it well, but you could try it. So
What else?
the other problem, though, too, with the timeline aspect of things that really bugged me was, so Wonder Woman is sort of like this unknown creature in 2015 or whatever, whenever we see her again in the Superman or the Justice League movie.
She's still hiding her presence,
Right.
which is something that is addressed in the Justice League stuff. It says you need to come out of the shadows. Kind of thing.
Right. But I guess we can kind of buy that from 1984 to 2014. She's been hiding out or whatever. Okay, I can buy that. But she's obviously showing up in malls and fighting crime
Yeah.
and breaking cameras, which apparently cameras don't work. Like when you break a camera, suddenly it doesn't work anymore before it was broken.
Yeah,
So
all the previous footage. is
yeah,
gone,
it's
so no
erased.
worries.
It's gone. So you get that weirdness going on. But then there's also the thing where, so does nobody check? She's worked at the Louvre. She's worked at this other fancy museum as Diana
Like
Prince.
Social Security numbers.
Right. She's never aged. She just says, so she just lives with no friends and no contacts, but works in really high-end museums. And no one's ever
And
been
it's
like,
really
hey.
hard to miss visually
right.
as just a human specimen.
Yeah, she's not someone that you would meet and then forget about. So I doubt that the museum curator world is really that big of a world. So you know that by 2015, when she's working in another museum, that the people that she worked with in 1984, at some point in time, had to run into her and be like, "You look really good. Like, how is this working?"
Well, yeah, because they showed Steve Trevor's assistant, who played I don't remember the actress's name, but she was the Pam version in the English Office.
Oh, Dawn.
No, anyway.
Dawn Watson or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's great.
So in original Wonder Woman, Steve Trevor has the assistant who runs the show while Ares is. But at the beginning they're doing these it's like a montage really of like what happened in between Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 84. And one of the photos is her standing with her as like an old woman, implying that she got old and died.
I don't remember that part.
It's like it pops like it just flies through
So
it.
that's the cameo.
Right. So she's in it, but she's obviously implying that like she's dead. But again, Diana Prince is unaged.
Mm-hmm, right.
So it's definitely one of those things like
Highlander,
somebody
they deal with that.
Yeah, it's like
Change your
somebody
name.
absolutely knows that it's impossible that she is not somebody special.
Right.
At all. The only oh man.
I wish you'd just say, "No, I'm Diane Prince the 5th."
Right. You look so much like
really
your mom.
strong genetics.
The other person, that's my grandma.
The strongest of all the genes.
Our genes are superior. Yeah, man. Oh God, it's like, and then so here's the thing that bugs me as well is, there's a thing like there's Ex Machina, Deus Ex Machina. There's also retconning, which is when something has occurred and you kind of tell the story later, which then covers up the fact from the beginning. That's retconning.
What does retcon stand for?
Oh man, it's probably Latin. No, I don't know. I think it's short for something, but it's known colloquially as retconning.
We're gonna look it up.
I could look it up. Somebody will look it up and Google it and tell me I'm wrong. But so the big thing that
I'm wrong, internet.
So they retconned two things that just drove me insane because they were completely unnecessary. The first one is the invisible jet. We didn't need the invisible jet at all. It doesn't need to be there. We got through Justice League without it.
Right.
You know, we got it. It's a thing that was cool from the cartoon, and it was cool from the movie. It's fine. We don't need it. So the retcon that they do is they steal it from the Smithsonian, from like their archive, which they just leave fully functional jets with all the fuel in the world
fueled up and ready
at the Smithsonian. So they steal it. Nobody
there's
does
also
anything.
a
It's not
tower
locked.
at the Smithsonian.
Yeah.
There's right. So all this implausibility there. And then they're like, well, what are we gonna do? And she's like, well, I've been working on the hiding it, like my
Heading
father
this
hid the
invisible
island.
mouse.
And she's like, well, it worked on a coffee mug. I still can't find it. And so then she turns the jet invisible. It's like, okay, you're fired.
Yeah.
And then the second thing that they retconned in is her ability to fly. And they did it two ways poorly.
When she's flying,
it's pretty good.
Oh, it's so bad. So this is another case where Marvel did something so much better than DC. Thor flies,
right?
But he does it using the momentum of Mjolnir, spins it around and like whips it, and then just holds on and quote unquote flies.
Right.
The explanation for her and how she learns how to do this is she's talking to Steve, and he's like, "Oh, you just got to feel the wind, and catch the wind." Who knows anything about like drag or aerodynamics or whatever? Just hold your arms out. They're the same thing as the wind. So she launches herself up into the breeze, and all of a sudden is just like, I'm gonna stick my arms out. Look at that, I can fly. This is amazing. Well, let me whip my lasso around and rope a cloud,
and lightning,
both of which.
No, she roped a jet to start with.
Right.
Well, she roped a jet to get up there.
Fine.
That's
right.
what
Then
got her
as
there.
she's that's fine. This
Even
insanely
though
long
it's like
lasso,
thousands
Yeah, it's only 34,000 feet. It's
ever
fine.
growing lasso. So then she's up there, and then she just holds her arms out, and all of a sudden she can fly. Like, all right. And then she starts roping stuff, which are just intangible. Like, you could touch a cloud technically, but it's water, millions of water droplets that do not carry density or mass to the effect that you can't wrap
like
a rope
fog.
around it.
Yeah, rope in the
and
fog.
then she grabs lightning, which is literally electricity. Like, what are you holding on to?
Yeah.
It's like, you don't need to retcon her ability to fly, man. Just do a little Spider-Man-y type thing. She just whips stuff with her lasso, just pulls really hard. I'll believe it. I'm in. I'm fine with that.
So we'll just take a step back. Retcon.
You're gonna
is short for retroactive continuity. A film, television series, or other fictional work, a piece of new information that imposes a different interpretation on previously described events, typically used to facilitate a dramatic plot shift or account for an inconsistency. So there you go.
Yeah. So they do that because a lot of people said from the first one, like, wait a minute, why doesn't she have, like, where's the jet? Where's her powers? She can fly, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And so this is them retconning.
But the thing too, though, is that I think that this is a case of a lot of impatience on the part of the filmmakers, on the part of the studio, on the part of the writer and director, is excuse me, to capitalize on the nostalgia of the 80s, when it would have made so much more sense and would have been so much more enjoyable to give us a film noir Wonder Woman set in the 30s, a World War II Wonder Woman set in World War II, a Vietnam era. Give us something else to fill that gap, and then not make it so crazy that we suddenly jumped in the 80s and she just now is learning how to fly, and she's just now learning how to use invisibility. Like, I feel like she's got a lot of time on her hands being an immortal, so it wouldn't make sense to that she just suddenly is like, well, now that Steve's here, let me try to work on this invisible ball. It doesn't; those things just didn't work.
She's apparently useless,
right?
As a superhero without him. So.
I gotta say though, I admire actors so much for the freaking nonsense that they have to do at that level in those movies. Yeah. The part where she's in the cockpit doing this weird hand motion, pretending to summon up this invisibility. You feel like such a fool doing that, and it looks good. I mean, you know, it's very convincing.
It's completely believable. Absolutely.
But if you take all of the effects out of like out of who's the actor who plays Scarlet Witch?
Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah, Elizabeth Olsen. If you were to remove all the effects from her, it's complete nonsense, and she kills it. Yeah, right. Yeah, she's at a rave, and so there's just things that they have to do that are just crazy.
Well,
but
lines too.
Yeah, just the lines themselves. But I think that I would have just bought it so much more if they. Thing is, like, you could have said it in the 30s during the Depression, and she saves something that's going on, during the Depression, and you could actually bring Steve back in a real way. Maybe he grabbed a parachute and jumped out at the last minute and then hit his head and had amnesia. I don't know, something else other than this weird ghost thing that happens in the 80s. I think that there was just a lot of impatience trying to capitalize on the current nostalgia when they could have written a much better script and story and idea set not so far out and actually continued to build the Wonder Woman brand, because honestly, it's all DC's got right now. And they completely pooped the mattress doing this, because they could have continued to build the brand by creating great stories in time periods we don't see a lot, but instead just completely blew the entire wad of concepts that they could have done and kept this brand strong, because unequivocally everybody hates this movie. It's not like you're out there like looking at people who are like, oh, I thought it was pretty good. It's like, no, pretty much everybody hated it.
And it does suffer from the fact that the first one was so strong.
That's the thing. Yeah.
And it made the Wonder Woman character
relatively for DC.
Right. It made the Wonder Woman character so good because it's uniquely powerful, arguably as one of the most powerful members of the Justice League. And they did a great job capturing that in the first film. They empowered her and that character and said, we're doing this. This is what it is now. And in Justice League, she's like the level head and all that kind of fun stuff. And then this one just, it's like the opposite effect of somebody taking a movie that was terrible and saying, listen, I can tighten this up and we'll fix it. They took a movie that was fine and a character that was fine and just, they S the B on this one, because there's they walked feminism backwards 5 steps with this by making her just this like a dowager that can't survive without a man. Like, no, that was the strength of the whole first movie.
And her enemy created her enemy became her enemy based upon wanting to be hot and popular. So that was another problem, was that the whole conceit of the film was the bad guy just wanted to be popular. And okay, if it's an 80s movie, then I can buy it. But Wonder Woman was not a World War I movie. So,
But two, it's like it's like when I watched this movie, I went, oh, now there can be a woman superhero movie that does all the same dumb tropes that didn't work when it was man-oriented.
Right.
Superhero movies. It's like Electro in Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man
2.1.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell. Like, that didn't work. Who else? It's like, this is the thing that's been played out where it's like, someone who admires and looks up to the hero or even is saved by them ends up going, I'm your enemy now because I don't know, whatever.
Well, it's the bad guy on Incredibles. That was the same thing. He got rejected by the superheroes, so he became the ultimate evil superhero. Yeah. So,
and the only reason that worked is because he used their strength in a clever way. But otherwise, you're like, okay, who cares? Yeah. And so just to do it here, it's like, okay, great.
And to give... It was like, so once Kristen Wiig's character gets the thing that she wants, it's just it's such the wrong message to send, when that was sort of the idea behind the original film, was how strong and powerful you can be, was to go, look, she's a dork with glasses, now she's not a dork with glasses anymore. She couldn't see very good, now she can see. She was not attractive and couldn't walk in heels. Now look how hot she is, and she can walk in heels. Oh, and now she's a cheetah, so now she gets a nose job. It was just like all of this crazy stuff that was just like so antithetical to what I think the message was supposed to be, especially in the original movie, and kind of just the sign of our times. that's one funny thing that, like I said in our post, like if you want to come hear what a bunch of white guys have to say about this is what all the white guys are saying. Is like you pooped the mattress on the concept that we all were excited about Wonder Woman and brought it back to just base nonsense, girl boy nonsense that we all thought we had somehow passed.
Like Pretty in Pink with superpowers.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, it's terrible too, because having Chitara, who is a very unknown superhero.
It's just Cheetah, right? Because that's the Thundercats character.
Oh,
is it?
Oh,
yeah.
is it? Oh,
yeah, sorry.
I just threw it out there. Yeah.
She's
Well,
Chitara, pretty much.
Her name's just Cheetah.
Yeah,
the Cheetah.
It's just Cheetah.
But it's like
Chester, the Cheetah.
that character has a story, has an origin, has a motivation of why they do it, whatever. And somebody sat in a room and said, well, we can't just have her fight Max Lord and call it a day. We got to add some more star power. We got to add another protagonist that does stuff. And then they're like, well, who can we safely bring in without disrupting all this other stuff? Because like Atlantis exists, and you can't do Lex Luthor because that's Superman type thing. So like, well, who are Wonder Woman's baddies? Like, oh, there's all these like super hot female villains. Like, well, we got to be a little sensitive to that. So let's do Cheetah. And then they're like, well, okay, now we got to hear. So what's her backstory? Like, she wants to be
She's
pretty.
a dork.
Like, God. And,
well,
they threw it away. It's a throwaway.
It totally
it's
is
really
a throwaway.
bad because
good.
Even literally in the movie, Kristen Wiig reverts back to her former self.
And she was great. I think last week I was kind of bashing the trailer because I was just like, here it's her doing the thing that she always does. Yeah, and I talked to Brian though a little bit today because I called him because he thinks he might. Well, doesn't think. I mean, had the test for the Rona, so hope you're okay, Brian. But we were chatting about it, and that was the thing, is that we both agreed, like, as an actor, she's so much better than the parts that she plays. And so it was cool to see her, for one, play a part that she killed it in. She killed it. Everything across the board. I thought she was fantastic in it. But that was the problem, was that it was this wasted character now. Now we don't really get to see her be her. And the reason is because they burned two bad guys. You don't want to have two bad guys in a movie. There's got to be one bad guy and the henchman. And say, well, what about Lex Luthor and the guy from Superman 4 or whatever? But see, that's the thing. Lex Luthor was still, he's holding all the cards, and he's kind of the puppeteer sort of thing. Yeah, you can. I mean, you can have the three bad guys from Krypton, but the thing is, they're like,
well, but that's a gang.
Exactly, they're a gang.
Right.
In this case, it was two bad guys with two agendas.
Yeah,
right.
And
it's Spider-Man 3.
Yeah,
it's the Tobey Maguire. I love how many. Which iteration of Spider-Man?
Just so many.
Am I thinking of? But it's Sandman and Venom, and now someone
just
else,
too much.
I think it's just the two
Hobgoblin
of them.
pops up. No, I think
Oh,
Hobgoblin.
right. Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Because James Franco, oh my God, that movie. But yeah, it's just like the stuffing. And again, it's like, what, Patty Jenkins, you want to make a female version of stuff that's failed in other superhero movies?
Yeah.
Like, the choices were just, from the start, bizarre that they would go there. And then with Kristen Wiig, I mean, no matter, they get her in that position towards the end of the movie where they're fighting, and Diana's like, please take back your wish. You know, it's like Diana's taken back her wish. She has her powers back. Kristen Wiig's full-blown Cheetah. And she's like, please just undo your wish. You're still a good person, yada, yada. And it still would have been, I guess, I don't know, played up if she had decided, okay, I'll help you. I'll take back my wish and let me help you.
Right.
But that still would have been better than her just doing nothing. You know?
Yeah.
And her just like sitting there going, oh, I guess I was wrong.
I'm a wet
after being
kitty.
beaten.
Well, and
then
then
the
another
wish is undone.
another good sign of like how this movie is basically just a bunch of sticky notes that they sewed together into a film is they introduced the idea so going back to the thing that happens in the very, very beginning, the Hunger Games American Ninja Warrior thing. that thing is like 25 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
And the message is you're not ready
it's
to
like
be a
11,
hero.
but yeah, it feels like 25.
Yeah. Right, because
Yeah.
and like you see it coming because she's doing the thing and you're like, all right, she's either gonna win or not. Like the minute she steps up to the starting line, she's not gonna win this thing. Like there's a message in here somewhere. You're gonna take a while to get there. That's fine. They do this cool little thing. She misses a thing, but is determined to win, and then blah 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 blah. But then they're standing there, and the victor gets awarded, and they briefly mention this hero that saved the Amazons.
Oh yes.
And what during the original battle with men, how they took all their armor and put it together into this like shell, and she sacrificed herself to save the Amazons.
Right.
Great story. Cool. Let's watch that movie.
Right.
And then Diana Prince undoes her wish and starts to get all her powers back because her cost was her power, just leveling her out kind of thing. Like when Superman didn't want to be super anymore, so he could be with Lois. Oh, gee, what an original idea, Jenkins. And then, so then she is like, I know the answer to this. And she goes to some mysterious place and gets this armor.
Mm-hmm.
She gets this ancient relic armor and then flies in. And that's what she uses to battle Chitara, and basically takes this ancient invincible armor and just gets trashed.
I mean, just throws it on the floor.
It just throws it on the
Cheetah
floor.
just crashed.
Yeah, and it makes a great trailer, and it makes a sweet movie poster and a nice little, because I think it's literally, it's right there.
It's on our poster right now.
It's on our poster. It's like, it looks awesome, but then logistically, it's such a waste.
Mm-hmm.
And then they do this ultra stupid thing at the end of the credits with the post-credit scene where they've had two Wonder Woman movies now. And, Wonder Woman's shown up 3 times now, and they finally reach out to the original Wonder Woman and like, hey, do you want to be in this movie? And they show something happening in this woman long here, like, oh, they're showing how Wonder Woman has taken control and is now being in the public, but you find out it's actually
Linda Carter.
Linda Carter, thank you. It's Linda Carter, but Linda Carter is the character who sacrificed herself so the Amazons could get away, so she didn't die, kind of thing.
Right.
And she's got this cheeky look at the camera, and you're like, "Oh my god, you guys are killing me with this nonsense."
It's me, Sclomicules. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
Scamicles, that was her name.
Her Peclates.
Good job.
Yeah,
Can't believe you remembered that one.
And it's
hard to forget.
Yeah, it's true. Scamicles.
But it's all these bad sticky note ideas.
Yeah.
That nobody gave them the treatment of, like, we should just take a step back. We've had plenty of time to storyboard out and make sure that this thing works, but they didn't do it. They're like, no,
so much time
it's
on their hands.
WB TV show, like 3-episode arc.
Yeah,
it's so disappointing because, like I said, there's so many things structurally that's wrong with the film.
Yeah.
The acting is fine. Like I think Gal Gadot does a great job. Kristen Wiig does a great job. Pascal does a great job. All the other little sub people do a great job. There's these great little like nuanced things that happen, but then you look at the thing in a total thing, and you're like, when you were trying to run through the synopsis of this movie, it's basically, well, we watch the Hunger Games, and then we read a motivational saying per day calendar, and then Wonder Woman plays every 80s teenager who's heartbroken because Jake wouldn't give her a cake for her birthday, and then there's this magic genie in the bottle that shows up, which a megalomaniac fraud becomes and starts granting wishes, gets drunk on power, and then she has to fight him because why? At least in the first movie, she was fighting Ares because she thought that was her doctrine. Like that was her role, was to fight Ares. And this one, it's like she finds out that they use the stupid little thing where he becomes a wish stone, and like this giant cock ring hits the ground, and they read it, and it's like
big.
It's in some language that basically says that Loki basically made this wish stone, but they can't say Loki because that's that's
TM.
Marvel thing, so they can't say Loki, but Loki definitely made this wish stone because everything comes with it's made by the god of lies. So then she's like, well, I have to find it. And so she hunts down the guy who she thinks has it, not realizing that he became it. and then watches the world just disintegrate around her, all the while introducing super possessed engineer with Chris Pine to what the 80s are. And they even do like a Pretty Woman costume change montage that just ends up with him in parachute pants and a fanny pack. Like, that's the 80s. We're good. Moving on.
Yeah.
Get the hell out of here.
So
I don't know who the audience for this movie was, but it is not the people who were going to pay money to see this movie.
It was clearly nobody, because nobody likes it. And I mean, I liked it.
And I think they knew it. That's why it got dumped on HBO Max.
Oh, for sure.
They're just like, we'll just take whatever money we can get from it.
You know, where it's like, you're not seeing, who knows what Black Widow will end up being, or, you know, Dune, other things, you know, but it's like, they're not going, well, Dune, they're afraid they're going to get dumped.
Well, I saw a headline for the article, and I browsed it, but the headline was Patty Jenkins has, you know, has mixed feelings about releasing the movie online and in theaters. And what I read in there was just nonsense. It's sentimental.
What every human would.
Yeah, it's what the character from It's a Wonderful Life would say is sentimental hogwash. It's like, we are not in a time period in which the release is a big deal right now. So
you want to get, since release dates were a big deal.
Right, true. But especially not now. So get the movie in front of eyeballs, enjoy it, because I had a better experience watching this, you know, on a big giant HD TV, you know, as opposed to going to the theater and hearing people, you know, whine and complain and eat popcorn behind me, you know? So yeah, so there's definitely benefits. So I'm so over the older generation of people thinking that the means of distribution don't mean as much, because right now is the best time it's ever been to release your movie direct to consumer. This is why George Lucas started THX. It's why, you know, when VHS was a thing, it was like, oh, I spent all this time on this movie. Then people are watching it on 13-inch TVs with VCRs, and you know, So that's why he created the standardization of theaters and how they projected movies and sounded. And so there's a lot of stuff that filmmakers had to overcome up until very, 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 very recently. So to have mixed feelings about it is one thing, but on the other hand, it's not a great film. So you shouldn't have mixed feelings about releasing your garbage to people too early. It's not going to make it any better.
Her saving grace is that it did release on HBO Max.
I agree.
Because if she would have had to justify her existence, this sounds terrible. If she would have had to justify her directorial existence based on box office numbers,
right?
Nope.
Right.
She's shooting commercials tomorrow.
Right.
She does not get Rogue Squadron because somebody will be like, wait. We gave you 300 something million for the Wonder Woman sequel, which was already ready to print money. And if this was just a box office release, 80 million tops.
Well, not to mention that about halfway through the movie, even though I was enjoying it, I said to Sarah, I was like, I wonder if she's going to be making Rogue Squadron still. Because
that's fair, man.
Yeah, because it's not good. And it's not, I mean, Star Wars fans are going to freaking lose their
They're going to
X-Wings.
Annihilate Star Wars if some of this canon stuff
I don't know. I think Star Wars fans are pretty...
Get out of here.
Pretty relaxed, pretty chill about things. But between that rollerblading promo and this movie, it's not looking good for Rogue Squadron right now at all.
Well, no, even we said it last week too. Like the what film do you make with Rogue Squadron? Like just 10,000 foot level.
Is it a movie or a TV show?
It's a
movie. Yeah.
See, I don't even know what any of these things are.
That's a fair point too.
I'm
yeah.
like,
well, yeah,
series,
there's a lot. Yeah,
no
Mandalorian. It's gonna be a great movie.
But like, what even content do you make with Rogue Squadron?
Right.
So it's like that's already. I mean, I like the idea, but I don't know where you're gonna go with this.
Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
I call it right now. That's my prediction.
They go back in time. Oh no!
Oh, they're
there's
gonna
already
take
back in time.
the Pearl Harbor story and convert it to a galaxy far, far
Oh,
away.
nice.
And there's
Like it's
gonna
gonna
be
be
a
like an
love
attack on Coruscant or something.
triangle, And
Oh,
my
good.
God, yes.
Wedge is gonna hit
Antilles will be
Leia.
part of the. Yeah.
Part of the love triangle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man.
The love
I want
wedge.
to write the horrible version of this now.
Yeah.
There's gonna be like
We
Top
did too.
Gun, where it's gonna be like.
Oh
Top
yeah,
Gun.
there'll be Top Gun for sure in there.
Yeah, they're gonna have to play like intergalactic beach volleyball with their shirts on.
Ay, ay, ay. Yeah.
Who's gonna be Iceman? You know?
Hawkman.
That's the thing. What did Wonder Woman get in the Mind of Nico ratings?
It was a 2 out. It was a 2 out of 5. 2 out of 5 is
Deuce.
I didn't like it, but somebody might.
I liked it.
Right. So
But-
2 out of 5.
Yeah, you
Oh,
liked it.
one thing we didn't say. Well, so part one of this is why are you trying to get me to buy that like a 9-year-old girl is going to win a race against all of these insane like CrossFit
Yeah, these
girls?
yoked demigods.
Like don't do that to me, because I can see her running
Did
and you
just call
picked the
them demigods?
yeah
Is that like Karens?
Debbie-
Oh, these Karens and these demigods. Ugh.
Debbie Gods does
Yeah,
Dallas.
just her stride length is.
Yeah, you
infinitely
watch her
shorter
run,
than
you're like,
that.
you did not pick the most athletic 9-year-old to be Diana Prince, but also there's no way she's winning this. And number two was the special effects were laughably bad. Just to I don't understand the running thing in movies right now, because we talked about it with Spectre, how all of James Bond's running was like this. Same thing.
Yeah.
Like it was clear that she was on wires, just moving her
And a
legs.
treadmill, yeah.
Yeah, and her arms are doing this. Because I know what they're going for. I know that they're
She's
going for
running
continuity.
70 miles an hour,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
hilarious. That
'Cause-
that convoy scene when they're in Egypt on the road,
Mhm.
I got plenty of things to say about it. But I laughed really hard.
Because they drove past the convoy in 14 seconds after landing in the Middle
right,
East
yeah,
in a
step
plane
one
that
is we
is
need
clearly
to find
not
this
registered.
guy. Yeah, her and Stephen Quivers are in a little cab.
Yeah.
And she's talking about, we gotta find this guy. Where could he be?
Yeah.
This
And the
giant
convoy
country.
drives on the other lane, and she goes, "There he is,
Found him.
hey, guy driving the car. Can I buy this car? Okay, boom. Now they're chasing them.
Right. Amazing.
They did do a good job though of hiding the practical effect of flipping the when they flip the truck, because the practical is like there's an air powered piston
Yeah.
that actually launches it,
Pops it.
and they did a great job of working it into the fact that she's already under the truck and she just like rips the axle down and it gets stuck
Okay,
and
is
like
that what happens? Okay.
and like pole vaults the truck up, which is a way of hiding the effect that they used an air piston to launch the truck up.
It's
I
like
saw that and I was like,
the
"Oh,
Last
good job."
Crusade motorcycle
Yeah.
Yes.
thing in the spokes. Boing.
Except for
Right.
the part then later when she lassos the kids and picks up the kids, and then
When the kids get splattered all over the road, but
Yeah.
somehow we're supposed to believe that they're fine.
Right.
did
That
you
was
see
when I
scratches.
laughed the hardest.
there's like a slow motion of it on YouTube, and it's just like it's so obviously the dummies. Like at the first, when I watched it live action, I was just like, wow, they didn't even bother like with the dummy legs were just like like flopping around.
Yeah.
And like their
didn't-
heads are smashing into the pavement,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
The asphalt. It's
Yep.
just like brain trauma, brain splatter,
Yeah.
left and right while they're rolling. And then the kids just get up and run to their mom. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
all
love
right.
it. Okay. What was
We
the
do it. Is it this kind of movie now? Okay. Sure. Let's do it.
is it the
Whatever.
Film Riot guys who do the pitch meetings, I think, and do the crazy
I don't know
pitch
if it's
meetings?
Film Riot,
I've never
but yeah, the
watched
pitch
them.
meeting.
Yeah, I watched this one, and yeah, he does a thing where at one point he says something about that. He goes, well, and then Steve Rogers will get on a tank and he'll kick a gun, and he goes, okay, because he does that, and then they show the clip, and he is just like kicking this gun that's like this rubber gun going blah blah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, it's like is it treaded or is it a wheeled tank?
Yeah.
Like a APC.
An APC, yeah.
And yeah, there's like a turret that's not being used, I don't feel, but then there's a little machine gun, and he's
Yeah.
just kicking at the machine gun.
kicking the machine gun
'Cause
guy.
he's like, I don't know what I should be doing.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing that I think Red Letter Media brought up, which is like a very valid point, is that Steve Trevor's the guy that he's leapt into, quantum leapt into, that body is still a human being that can be killed.
Been raped.
And Steve and Diane are just like, let's take this body on the road. And there's no feeling of like, what happened to this guy? Because even as an audience member, I'm like, did this guy recently die and he leapt into the guy just as he died? It's like, no. He's just inhabiting this body and he can murder it.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay. Because at the end, when he just becomes the guy again, which they don't even show when that happens. That's like a missed opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Oh, him waking up just being like, what? Where am I?
The guy
what
should
is
just
going
be like,
on?
It's Wednesday. I went to bed on Friday.
What am I wearing?
Yeah, I smell like an Amazon. What is going on? Yeah, my closet's been ransacked. I'm really sore. Yeah. That and
in weird places.
Let's also, how did Steven Tyler know how to fly a jet? Like, get out of town with that nonsense.
From 1910.
He pops in, he's like, let me see, fuel, bing, this switch. All they do is they go, this switch? Oh, no, it's these switches. Got it.
Yeah.
It took him 0.5 seconds to figure out.
Throttle, good. Because there was no such thing as a jet engine in 1918. And so...
Yeah, you still had to, like, pull the propellers to get him to start.
A long ways off.
Yeah, it's true. You did have to, like, kick in the air and turn it, like, with his hands. Yeah. It was hilarious.
Yeah, again, ignoring the fact that they're at the Smithsonian Archive with a fully fueled fighter jet.
Yeah. And usually those jets are sitting on, like, posts, and the cockpit's no longer glass. Like, that's just how
all the
these things work.
instrumentation has been removed, and they're empty shells. Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, grow up, Patty Jenkins. Have you ever been to a museum? Like, just stop it. I don't know.
Quit janking me around.
Quit Chippy Jerkins.
Yeah, and it's part of this is where, remember a long time ago we talked about how do you judge best director, and one way to do it is this: when there's such a comedy of errors, that is the director's job to be like, whoa, this is off the rails in so many cases. We need to.
But you can't direct a bad script, and when you wrote the bad script and then you're directing it,
did she write it?
She wrote it too.
People were involved.
It was like her and two other people.
People with story by, and then her and someone else are screenplay by. I think.
Yeah, wrote it.
Yeah, so you could already tell it's like.
That's why Rogue Squadron is scary still, because she wrote it too.
I might have to boycott this movie.
Yeah, not
the other reason I might boycott it is because I saw something that said that she leaked details to Chris Pine, and he was like, "It's a good idea." Like, I'm out. I have zero trust in Chris Pine's ability to judge.
I have more trust in his. He's made good movie choices.
But still, like,
he's doing a D&D movie in the future. I bet it's going to be great.
He's doing the I'm working with an upcoming director that he's business applauding that statement, not actor applauding that statement. He's thinking she's about to get handed the keys. I want in on that. I'm going to say nice things.
Yeah.
And also, my character died, so sure.
Yes, so I'll be in on that
to get me in this sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, that I remember when we saw the first one and we talked about there are a million ways that Steve Trevors survives the first one.
Yeah, because he's kind of going to. You're
but
like,
he takes the plane up. He knows he's going to detonate the plane with all the gas and stuff in it. Parachutes existed, man. You just you jump out. The plane will explode. I promise.
Yeah.
And then they could have done something great where, like, I just wrote this in my head just now. He plays like an old man in 84. And then when she makes the wish, you find out that, like, the janitor at the Smithsonian was him, like, all along, and then he just youngifies or something. That'd be super bad and cheesy too. But you could do these cool little things where, like, he escaped and then hid himself because he was supposed to be dead. And then when she wishes for him to come back, he was there, like, the whole time.
You could do that.
And I have such an issue with the quantum leap thing.
Yeah, it's bad.
Of Steve, because it's like, and I said it last week too, is he's granting wishes that are already implausible. So it's not in the same realm of implausibility to just literally bring him back. Like the whole body repossession thing, unless you're going to do something with that, to your point of right, where like maybe the guy's left-handed, but Steve isn't, so everything's backwards, or he's a lot taller, so he keeps bumping his head on stuff. Whatever, but they didn't do any of that stuff. It's just they did the camera fourth wall.
Let's not murder this guy's body.
Yeah,
right.
Maybe there are consequences for this.
Just such a misstep. I mean, who knows? Maybe this
now
guy's like a sex offender. Who knows?
Or now she does.
Because they weren't using protection. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was the 80s. It's all that stuff, right? That it's just it's such a collection of errors. Like I don't know how I would feel about the movies if this was the first one. Like if this was the first one, probably this is gonna sound bad. I probably would have enjoyed it because the first one didn't exist, which set the precedent for her character.
Yeah,
and it was already a lighter. The whole thing about the first movie and why people liked it was that lighter tone. And you go, oh yeah, maybe people don't want the Zack Snyder
Dark Knight
gritty thing with Superman. You know, so it's like, oh, maybe that was the wrong direction. Yeah, Dark Knight, you can do a trilogy that's dark and serious, fine, but like, you can't bring these other characters in and have it be so dire. It doesn't play as well.
I think the other part
that shows up and you go, oh, it's lighter, great.
And the movie still carried that.
I like her.
Yeah.
It just struck me wrong too because it felt like a lot of J.J. Abrams, where he takes inspiration from other things and you could point to his work and say, oh, that's from this and that's from this and that's from this.
Yep.
I feel like this story is one of those like Bond plots in the Roger Moore era. Like it's almost like a Moonraker type thing where you're just like, wait, he goes to the moon with the master race? What? No, this is such a like some like Tammy Faye Baker, Jim Baker evangelist. Because there was also, this happened in the 80s. There were people that were like, the TV is a way to scam people out of money. Let's do this. So that was like, oh, this is interesting. But then, he's been researching this wish stone for why? How?
Right.
How do you find out about this? Right. And then all of a sudden he's got just archives of research, which when they show his backstory, it's not like he was tucked away at some boarding school and like the librarian gave him some ancient relics tome. He was like a street kid. Like it doesn't make any sense of how he found out anything about this object. And then they do the stupid, like he's got investors, and of course one of them's like a major partner investor. He's like, just stick with me. And then he gets him to wish away his wealth, and he says like, okay, great, now I'm taking over all your stuff. And it's like, all right, but then they don't exactly explain why he has this drive to continue to make and fulfill wishes, other than all of a sudden
it's just greedy.
Then all of a sudden like his health starts to fail, and then then they mix the kid in there, where it's just like the son, and you're like, all right, this is again another sticky note that didn't get fully flushed out.
That then it's like blind casting because the kid didn't look biologically like its kid, but they don't say that he's adopted, and that's just kind of weird. You're going, what's happening? Like it gave him heart in a way. You go, okay, fine.
Sure. It's a root
he's
for
the
him,
jerk that doesn't want to look like a loser to his kid. He doesn't want to be the loser. Blah, 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 blah. Again, I get the Trump parallels left and right. I get it, And don't lie. You're lying. Quit lying. I'm not a liar. Yeah. All that business. The kid helped to give him a heart, and in the end you go, oh, okay, he's freeing himself from his demons, Pedro Pascal's character. You go, okay, fine, but I don't know.
It's and that's the movie's it's a worldwide apocalypse.
Right.
And then everyone forgets, or it all goes back, or it all does
Cold
itself.
War too. We haven't even talked. There's nukes. There's all that crap.
Oh yeah.
There's the Russians against the Americans, and Reagan wishes. I just wish I had a lot more nukes, and they were really close, and then we'd be in a good position.
And then thousands of nukes show up.
Yeah.
Give the Gibbs some nukes.
Give me the gift of nukes. Which again, too, I've always hated actors playing presidents.
Yeah.
I don't know what it
really
is. It's always bugged me about that.
Recent.
Yeah, and they always cast unknown guys. Good actors, for sure, but they always cast unknowns. And the thing is, like, you got to go one of two ways, especially nowadays. You got to cast, like, Woody Harrelson and then put him in makeup. And so that you've got, like, just this badass actor playing the role. Or you deep fake it or, CG the face. That's what you have to do now. Because I'm not going to buy it being Ronald Reagan unless it's Ronald Reagan's face.
Yeah, just don't make it Reagan.
Yeah.
Like DC uses fictitious places and fictitious time, so that could have been anybody. It didn't need to be a Reagan-esque. We didn't need that like Pepsi Cold War nonsense.
Yeah,
at all.
It's interesting.
It didn't need to be there.
Yeah,
but somewhere was like, we really need to pull in this U.S.-Russian Cold War relations if we're going to use nukes, and well, you got to have a guy that looks like a mix between like a fat Reagan or a skinny Kennedy or whatever we want to do there. Like, you got to find this weird mix because people need
two
to be
skinny
close
Kennedys
enough.
and one fat Reagan.
Yeah, so
could I get a Lyndon B. Johnson chin?
Yeah, it's just again, it's a sticky note that nobody decided to flush out. They just made it a full page.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was rough.
Give me a Rusty Lincoln.
Right.
Oh, those are nice.
Oh, you've had one? I can tell you what I've
no.
Oh, okay.
Is that a thing?
When we're off the air, I'll tell you what I've come up with. No, it's me coming up with it.
Oh, okay.
That's why I started calling pennies, and then I went, well, what would be the sexual act of the Rusty Lincoln? I went, I got it.
Yeah.
I know exactly what it is.
He was on a dime. Oh, the old tarnished Eisenhower. You want one of those?
Hamilton? I think it's
Hamilton's on the nickel.
Oh, yes, he is.
Yeah.
I think it's Eisenhower on the dime, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Who's on the quarter?
Washington.
Oh, yeah, Washington's on the quarter. And all the states and territories.
Oh, yeah, he is.
And monuments.
Oh, that's on the back.
Yeah.
Washington.
Oh, yeah, that's right. What's the other
Coins have two sides.
It's just the flag. Yeah. Or the eagle. The bald eagle.
The eagle or the states.
Yeah, something like that. All right, folks. Wonder Woman, 1984. Hashtag will recommend if you just want to enjoy yourself. I would. I'm not. I definitely recommend it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't.
Oh, it's fun to watch.
No.
Just enjoy yourself for a night. How could you not want to watch Gal Gadot in The Mandalorian?
If you're like,
I think that's my summation. It's a rom-com with crammed in a superhero plot.
Yeah.
It's overstuffed for sure.
Oh yeah.
And it's lazy in the plot for sure. It's just crammed full of.
Well, here's the other thing. Here's maybe one of the other reasons I say I can't recommend it is because what does it add to the existing Justice League structure?
Nothing.
Right. That's why I'm saying toss it out, because at least the other movies, like at least Aquaman, addressed the mother box and the Justice League activity. At least so it was like aware of it. This movie doesn't do anything to the existing Justice League structure. So that's why I'm saying you could skip it and you'll be fine.
Which is why I like it, though.
Does Justice League exist, though? I think this is
no, they don't.
Thing that DC needs to figure out is like, where are they heading?
Yeah, nowhere.
Right? Like, there's not going to be another Justice League movie, is there? And if there is, how
think
many
so.
of the actors
I thought there
are
was. Well, because they're doing Flashpoint, which I want to see, which is the Flash story, but they're going to use Flashpoint is the.
He's going to be a giant pervert.
Well, it
just handing out Rusty Lincolns all day long.
It deals with
you flashed so many kids in that 1 hour.
Yeah, it deals with
10,000 children. He flashed.
So it deals with time travel and multiverses. So they're talking about bringing back like Keaton as Batman,
right?
And bringing back
everyone's doing that, huh?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So I want to see it because I'm curious to see how much they tap into the existing like canon of Batman and addressing the fact that there have been many Batmans.
Yeah, it's what you do now.
We are the Bat folk.
Yeah. but it said it because it is of its, in my opinion, many flaws, and the fact that it doesn't feed into the existing Justice League stuff. I can't recommend seeing this because it's not like there's a nugget that is like a call to any of it. Like there isn't even a mention of like this like strange kid in Kansas or the Wayne tragedy. Like none of that is even there.
But also sometimes if they were to throw that in, I think a lot of people have been like,
feels on the nose.
No, but I mean, not even like there's not even like a headline of like Wade Industries loses CEO. Like there's nothing like that even is mixed in. So it's like this doesn't, as a standalone,
like a TV
could have been better.
To me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like a mini series that they just plugged together, they stitched together.
Yeah, that was on the WB network.
Yeah,
15 years ago.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Smallville
basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like a really awesome, crazy expensive 3-episode arc of Smallville.
Yeah.
With Wonder Woman shows up.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And I mean,
and then it's good.
Then that's the thing
for TV.
Yeah, when you go in with no expectations,
station. Yeah, that's great.
Then it's great. But I don't know. It doesn't give us
tentpole, the big sequel to Wonder Woman. Ooh, Yep.
And we're not left with a lot of confidence in the upcoming Rogue Squadron. So there's that as well.
At least it's just a movie. It's not a whole series that drags on.
No, it's a series.
Is it?
No, it's a movie. I like keeping you in a state of confusion about what's going on in Disney. No, it's a movie.
I think I want it all to be like, I don't want to be spoiled. I'm not going to look and see what's a show and what's a.
It's just suddenly going to be there
in Star Wars and in Marvel.
Yeah.
I just want to go, oh, okay. This one was a movie, I guess.
Well, it's kind of like what they did with the behind the scenes of season 2 Mandalorian. So season 1, they put out 6 or 8 half-hour to 45-minute episodes of the making of, and this season 1 episode. It's like an hour and 20 minutes, but that was it. And so I was like, you jerks. I really wanted like a nice series to sit down to and enjoy a few episodes of, but oh well. What are you going to do?
There's probably some metric about people and follow through with that.
Well, they didn't ask me. They should have.
Mistake number 1.
Yeah, exactly. All right, folks, thanks for listening. We are going to continue the festivities with Nerds After Dark, where we'll catch up on the events of the week and all the things that we've been watching. So thank you for listening to the Smoking Hot Nerds podcast. This was Wonder Woman 84. # sort of recommend.
That works.
Lukewarm.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for listening.
And we will transition into Nerds After Dark right now. Boom.
And I'm going to take a quick step away, and I'll be right back.
All right. Do your thing. I've changed our background a little bit, too. I actually stole this cool little blue gradient thing from the Wonder Woman poster. It's a good poster.
You're supposed to admit that.
Yeah, and it works. But I got to figure out something to do with our little 4-guy thing going on over there. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it needs
something. I don't know what to do yet.
It needs like 80s baseball cards background.
Yeah, I got to like quadrant it off or something, like Brady Bunch style or something like that. But yeah. Well, I would recommend, if we can handle it, to hold off on talking of yesterday's events as much as possible.
For sure.
Yeah, and we'll just stick with, because who wants to talk about that? It's just nonsense. It'll just get us mad.
Well, it's the reason I don't want to talk about it is because I am still in shock that it was on CNN and not like the Sci-Fi Channel. Like, it feels so
pretty surreal,
unrealistically foreign.
Yeah,
that was news.
Yeah,
and the internet's been blowing up. The memes are there. The comparisons are happening. I'm still in shock to the fact that no way.
Yeah.
No, that didn't. No.
Well, and it left as quick as it came too. That was kind of the thing too, where it was just like this flash in a pan, and then it was gone, and then you're just kind of like, business as usual. And so here we just go back to work, I guess. So,
right, and it's like, was that the strategy? Was that your crisis management, was to like let it peter itself out? Because I mean, I guess it kind of worked. You have a 3-year-old that has a tantrum. You kind of let him kick it out on the floor, and then you continue shopping. Like, is that what we just did?
I know, right? Yeah, just let him
Did we just
cry
let him
it
like
out.
kick it out for an hour and then
cry it out, break some stuff, cry it out. We're good.
Oh man, somebody made a comment today that like these idiots that got their photos taken are being identified and obviously are going to lose their jobs and stuff. Like, I wonder how many like windowless dark vans are just showing up at people's houses tonight.
Right. Yeah.
Because it should be addressed this way.
Like Brazil style, like hood over your head, and they're just like, hey, have you seen Richard from next door? Nope. And
no, last time I saw him, he was getting his giant bison costume ready for some reason.
Right. He was taking down his flag. I don't know why he was doing that.
Yeah. That, like I said, I'm still in. People wanted to talk to me about it today. I was like, I'm still in shock at the fact that it wasn't like a Comedy Central spoof or something. Like, it actually happened.
It happened, and then it disappeared, and here we are talking about Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
So, did you catch anything interesting this week?
Let's see. I did. What am I? No, I'm I'm playing PGA 2K21.
What
on
is
my
that?
Xbox. It's a golf game.
Oh, the golf game. Gotcha.
I'm playing the golf game, which Andrea's like, you nerd. Like, no, golf is such a great game to decompress with in general.
Sure.
And this game is great because you can set it on like easy and things still track. Right. So there's no stress of like a computer basically saying, oh, you wanted your ball to go into the water 7 times. Right, I got you.
Yeah.
No, you can just play a round of golf. And it's not arcadey where you're driving at like 600 yards. And so it's like, there's realistic. You got to do some calculation. You got to account for wind. So it's just a nice, like, just play some golf, man. Yeah. And it's been helping with stress and stuff like that.
That's good.
I think TV wise, I started up His Dark Materials season 2.
Yeah.
But I haven't circled back to that because they're like an hour-ish and take a minute. I've had some late nights with work stuff. So it's like by the time like work stuff happens and then dinner happens, then it's like, all right, so we've got like an hour to figure something out. So it's like trying to min-max that hour and then also not stay up to like midnight or 1 a.m. or whatever too, because you got to do it. You got to get up and do it again. So yeah, His Dark Materials, I started the terrible reality show that we watch, Below Deck, has hit the point in time in which coronavirus started.
Oh wow, nice.
So it's super interesting. What feels like almost a year later, they're just now hitting it episodically, and listening to the way that, like, even in our podcast, we were talking about like, I'll be home for like a month or whatever, like just the way that they casually talk about this thing. So we're doing that.
That's crazy.
Shameless, the final season of Shameless is back on.
Oh, nice.
And they're right in the throes of coronavirus.
How long has that been off the air though?
I think it was standard hiatus.
Oh, it's been going for that long? That show's been on forever.
What season are they on?
This is the final season, and I want to say it's like 9 or 10.
Which season are they on? The final.
The final season.
Wow, they've done that many.
It's been that long?
Well, yeah, because I'm trying to think when the kids were kids, Fiona was the only one who wasn't in school. And we've watched Lip go through high school and college.
Yeah.
And then watched like Debbie is graduated high school. Like, so we've 10 years plus of watching these kids grow up on TV.
I liked it. I didn't commit after maybe like season 2.5 or so. I just was like,
there's a point where it gets off the rails.
Well,
for sure.
It gets off the rails, but also I get really affected by whatever world I'm watching. I'm weirdly empathetic like that. It's very annoying, but also I guess can be a strength,
a tool. Yeah.
So I felt like white trash when I was watching the show, and it wasn't good for me. Like, it wasn't good to be spending all of my time with with a screwed up family like that. So it was kind of like that for me. Like I just watched Chernobyl, and so that made me paranoid that like everybody was watching and that there's that everybody has an ulterior motive. So shows affect me a lot. So that's why that's why I just jettisoned Shameless pretty early on. It's just like I can't spend that much time with that much chaos.
Well, yeah, because you don't want to have the episode that you watch where you're like, God, those are human garbage. And then you watch another episode and be like, I've done that. Like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I'm the human garbage.
Yeah.
It was me all along.
The greatest of all garbage.
So yeah, no, it's been just, again, like there's been some late nights with work stuff. So just with food and family stuff, and then trying to find a little bit of downtime. Then there's like the holidays and stuff like that too. So it's like, I put together
Oh, yep.
the Iron Man.
Ah, wow.
The Lego art. So
That's
it's all
pretty
like,
cool.
it's all the little tiny circle studs.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
And
make
what's
a
nice
Iron
about
Man.
these is that they're
Is that a comic one, or is that one of the last movie suits?
that's like the Mark 40 something towards the end.
Yeah.
There's the books over there, but the great thing they've done with these is they've included enough pieces for 3 different layouts. So you can do the original like Mark 1, the red one, not the iron one.
Mark 3.
The Mark 3, yeah. So you can do the original Mark 3, and you can do the Hulkbuster, and then you can do this one. They're all in like good, decent poses. But then they also did a thing where and this is insane, if you get 3 of them, you can put them together and make one super large. So the one for Iron Man is him like
sitting
laying down
with a martini. Yeah, no, it's him with his
the
hand
Costanza.
out and like
just his naked legs.
Yeah.
he's got a repulsor shooting out.
Wow.
It's not great, so I'm probably not going to do that because it's the repulsor is a little like they didn't quite get it.
Is it repulsive?
It's repulsive. But the Star Wars one.
Yes, I have seen what that one makes.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Whoa.
So there's this one.
That's pretty
which is
good.
Same size. And this is Vader. They do
Who?
Vader. Right. So you can do Vader, you can do Darth Maul, or you can do Kylo Ren.
On that same one?
On that same one, right? There's enough pieces that you can. The instructions come with the breakdown for each one of them.
Wow.
Now,
it's
do they have extra pieces, or is it the same?
It's
number
extras.
of each
There's
color. Okay.
There's
Yeah, no,
extras.
there's
I was
tons
like,
of
that
extras.
would be crazy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, there's extras. But that one, if you put the 3 of them together, it's a vertical. It's almost a full body Darth Vader.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So that's
gonna do that?
happening because
With
I may or may not
naked
have
legs.
3 of them.
I don't know what they're doing with this naked leg thing, but
Yeah.
this
got
is
the
Lego's
skinniest little
new.
legs.
I am into it.
I
So
love
yeah,
it.
I've been doing that too. It's like there's that, then there's football and all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah,
And
there
then
is. There's some
I'm not-
football.
into football.
Yeah, I saw you post something about the Chiefs losing. Why it didn't matter? Did it? Didn't matter.
It didn't matter.
Did they
but
even
but
play their
it's a-
starters?
No.
Yeah.
No, they rested everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. it's
No,
okay.
it just so I was doing a
They brought in
confidence
Bernie
pool
Kosar.
where you
It's been a few years.
you pick the winners and but week 17 is tough because there's always teams that
Yeah.
just like take it
Yeah,
off
just dumping it.
and you're like,
Yeah.
well, crap. So but I've also had like all season long, if I put together a Star Wars Lego while the Chiefs game is on, they win.
Mm-hmm.
But the game wasn't being played out here,
And it
in
was not a
Vegas.
Star Wars Lego.
and it was not a Star Wars Lego. So it technically holds.
You're a loser.
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah.
what? So Chiefs have the first round bye, right?
Yep. Yeah, they got this weekend off. Yeah.
Yeah. Who has it in the NFC?
Saints.
No, it's the Packers.
Packers. That's right.
Yeah.
It was an exciting weekend in a way because it was like a lot of games that mattered, and then that one game that was like it was the Cowboys and the Giants,
Yep.
and whoever wins goes to playoffs if
If the Redskins
the Redskins
Eagles,
lose. but then the Redskins won.
The Washington.
Oh gosh,
Hoosiers?
yeah. Sorry, Washington football team.
The
Yeah.
football team.
That's why
Wow.
that felt weird coming out of my lips. That's why.
Oh, your brain was like, no.
Yeah,
no,
my brain was
no.
like, that's not right. That's
Well,
not
my
the right
favorite part about that fallout was, so this year, for people not interested in the NFL, sorry, but this year they extended the playoff bracket to include one more team because
7
people
from
were
each.
looking at the records and being
Yeah.
like, wait, why is this 4-9 team or this 4-13 team making it, but then this like 11-5 team staying home,
Right.
because that's just the way it pans
Because
out.
they're
So like,
tied in their divisions. as
right, so
opposed to
we're
the
gonna add
conference.
one more.
Yeah.
We're gonna give one more team a shot because we don't want a 10-win team to sit home. Miami is
Mhm.
sitting home and they're a 10-win team. But that's what made me laugh so much about that whole, because the NFC East was the trash pile of the NFL this
Yeah.
season. So it was Philadelphia, Dallas, Washington, and the Giants. And the Giants players were getting mad because, you know, the Eagles like kind of tanked the game, which let the football team win, which means that the Giants didn't get to play. And it's like, oh no, the 6-10 Giants have to sit at home
Right,
with the
right.
10-6 Dolphins.
Yeah.
Like you need to be happy with the fact that your division was so bad that you even had a shot, because you're gonna play Saturday and then be done.
Yeah, pretty
Like,
much.
Washington is gonna
what-
play Saturday and be done.
So on ESPN, I think it's called whatever Alex Smith's name was or number is, Project 11 or something like that. But it's all about his injury up until his recovery, but they stopped the documentary before he got back into the NFL. I did not realize how crazy his injury was, where he basically got a compound fracture. I think 2 compound fractures in the same leg after getting rolled on by J.J. Watt and another Giant in a football game. Okay, so here's a crazy thing about this. He was, at the time, and still is, quarterback for the Washington Redskins when he got this compound fracture that theoretically ended his career.
Yep.
It was to the day 35 years after
Heisman?
Joe Theismann as the quarterback of the Washington Redskins on a Monday night, both were Monday night games, got rolled on and ended his career.
Oh, really?
Isn't that
Oh, wow.
crazy? The same exact day in November. It was bonkers. So anyways, he gets this crazy infection in his leg, and it basically
you're
like
talking about
eats away like
amputation.
30% of his muscle. It's going like it's going into his kidneys, like it's killing him because his leg is dying. It's creeping up into his thigh, and they're like, we're gonna
take
give
your wish back from the wish stone. I don't know what you wished for, but it's killing you.
the Mandalorian is getting you. So yeah, so they're like one more day basically of we're gonna try to kill this thing, otherwise we're taking the leg and that's it. And so miraculously it reverses itself, it goes back, and he over time got himself back into working order, and now he's the starting quarterback again, which he was the backup, but their main guy got hurt. So it's crazy that he's playing on, I mean, we can call it a playoff caliber level because they're in the playoffs, even though their record was garbage. But he's playing in the NFL. But his story is so interesting because we're talking about one of the greatest athletes of all time, in a sense, because when you're the number 1 draft pick as a quarterback, there's something special going on with you. Yeah. And to go to the 49ers, just getting his groove, getting a really bad injury, which gave Colin Kaepernick the chance. So they go to the Super Bowl off of the tail of like 12 wins or something like that. I think they were like 12-1 when he hurt himself. They go to the Super Bowl. The 49ers decide to stick with Kaepernick, and they trade him to the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. So he goes to the Chiefs. Same thing. Playing well, getting his groove. They have a really good season. Right at the end of that season, he gets hurt again, like ACL or something terrible.
Yeah.
Guess who steps in to take over? Patrick Mahomes. So now they trade him again to the Redskins, who at the time were a garbage team as well. And yeah, just as he was starting to get his groove, boom, gets rolled up on. and gets injured. Yeah, it's a crazy story. I mean, he's doing fine, but it was just crazy to see when you're working on that. Yeah, when you're on that level, and to have those types of like, and sort of like unimposed hardships. Like there was nothing that he was doing wrong. It just ended up being injury coincided with a really great backup, and the backup ended up being the star of the of the comeback story,
like the Drew Bledsoe story.
Yeah, exactly. Sort of the Tom Brady sort of entrance sort of
triple Bledsoe.
But it's interesting. It's also interesting that the Broncos passed on, what's his name? Jared Allen. Is it Jared Allen? Who's the Buffalo Bills quarterback?
That sounds right.
Who's doing incredibly well. The Bills were like 12-4 or something like that.
Well, that's the thing too. Like I saw a clip the other day of what has basically become. It was the Heisman Trophy winners for the last 25 something years. Like, where are they now? And I think there's only like 3 that start in the NFL, and I think there's like 3 more that are in the NFL.
Very, very, very few. It's the curse of the Heisman.
The other 19 are like selling insurance.
Yeah, you don't want to win the Heisman, honestly, and be an NFL player. It's just not a thing. Well, because the Heisman is so geared towards players who are running backs or running quarterbacks, because those are the guys who score a ton of points in college. But you have to be a different type of running back and a different type of quarterback in the NFL. It just doesn't work the same. You can't
be a running.
The speed. What's amazing to me is the speed at which the NFL quarterback has to process decision making is insanity.
Oh, it's crazy.
When they show like these slowed down replays of like Aaron Rodgers for Green Bay when he dissects a defense. Yeah. Like he's looking at something, but then they talk about the fact that like, oh, he's gonna see this and realize from tape from 3 weeks ago that when this happens, that guy's actually blitzing. So he sees that, knows it, has an audible ready, has a team that understands what that audible is, makes the audible, but then has to then look and see like, okay, what's going on over here? And this all happens in less than 30 seconds because the play clock is constantly running. But
then once the ball is snapped, you see him go through these progressions. Let's say it's a pass play. He decides, or a play fake or whatever, so he decides not to hand off. He's going through these progressions of, okay, I look here, 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 but then he knows the defense knows that his progressions are a certain way. So as he's looking over here, he's seeing out of the corner of his eye, this receiver is getting open. So he goes like this and throws the ball in the opposite direction of his eyes while leading. It's just like, it's crazy what quarterbacks do. It's crazier what high-level quarterbacks do. But then guys like Drew Brees and Brady and Aaron Rodgers do is on a completely different level. It's a cerebral game also with like, I'm going to fake out the defense by not looking at the guy I'm throwing a perfect pass to. It's crazy stuff. It's just.
When I'm releasing the ball versus where they are when they get it, and where do I think the defenders will be where they end up?
Yeah, right. It's crazy. Rodgers looked insane last game. Like everything he threw was perfect. It was just crazy.
Insane in the last game.
Well, it's wild too that you look at, a quarterback throws an interception and they show the replay and some guy snuck in because he was behind like a lineman, a big huge lineman, didn't see the linebacker, sneaks in and grabs it, versus like an inch to the left, and it's this like snuck in perfect dart that's caught for a 10-yard gain. Like the pace at which, and when we played in high school, like we were obviously not at the speed of the NFL, but it was still it was insane because we would practice, run the routes. I would know. I played quarterback, so I would know so if we call this play, this is what it looks like, and this person should be here, and this person should be here, and this person should be here. But like we were terrible at football. So when I snapped the ball, my first instinct was like, please don't die.
Just don't die.
You weigh 140 pounds. You're gonna get destroyed. Yeah. And like I think we threw because I only played my freshman year. I think we threw a grand total of like 6 passes all season. Yeah. Just because there was no I never had time to do anything.
Just run it.
And just run it. Yeah, we were doing like Nebraska football, so we just run.
The thing that drives me crazy right now in the NFL is and I get it, like it's exciting to like make a big play and this kind of thing, but with defense, like defenses, especially in games that either matter or don't matter, like there was a play in the Cowboys Giants game where it was a completely inconsequential play in which like the punter punted the ball and it bounced at the 1 and the guy like grabbed it at the 2 and it was just like so exciting and they celebrated for like 9 hours over like downing the ball at the 2, and I was just like, you guys are behind, you're losing, you're on the verge of like your season ending, like back to the line, man. Like that stuff drives me crazy because it's just like this inability to like calculate what's important in this game and what isn't. Like just one big hit does not matter. Like the Broncos, some of the players on that team are just like insane. Like they'll make this big hit and stop a guy after like a 1 yard run, and they'll crawl on the ground and act all badass. And it's like, dude, it's 42-3. Like, there's nothing exciting about what you just did. Yeah. If you had done that 3 quarters ago, we might have been kind of happy about it, but you didn't.
Like now you just look like a clown.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm on the other side of that. I don't like any excessive celebration in the first quarter whatsoever.
Right.
Because like there's literally the entire rest of the game. Like that might be the only touchdown you guys scored, and the only clip is you doing the celebration dance in front of the Twitter camera, and then you get blown out 35-7. Like you just look like an a-hole.
I didn't watch the last Broncos game because there was other games on that were more interesting, and the Broncos are just garbage right now. God love them, but they're just like they're just horrible to watch. They look like it's crazy. So anyways, I turned it over because the score was very, very close. So I turned it over just in time to catch the Broncos score a touchdown and go ahead. And they were celebrating like they won the freaking Super Bowl. First of all, no, I need you to lose because we need a better draft pick. Second of all, this is the last game, and this is like the 3rd season in a row that's not going to be a 500 year. So they're celebrating like crazy. I change it back over to the Cowboys game, and then I get an end-of-game notification that the Raiders came back and scored and won the game. And it's like, see, that is why the celebration thing drives me crazy. It's like, first of all, the game doesn't matter. It's like it's better to lose anyways, but you still lost.
Right. You can celebrate when it's not a 1-score game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when they're not at risk of immediately turning it around and taking that lead back, celebrate.
Well, it's very exciting, but that game, there's nothing exciting about it because there's nothing. There's no benefit to winning that game. So I don't know. It's very annoying.
What's that? And what's like Super Bowl? I always enjoy the kickoff.
Yeah,
of the
the
Super
kickoff.
Bowl. And when the guy tackles whoever caught the ball from the kickoff and runs and gets off, and that's just like
everyone loses it.
Super Bowl, and they got to run around in circles, and everyone jumps on them, and
Which is funny because anymore the changes to the rules, the opening kickoff of the Super Bowl is gonna be out of the back of the end zone.
Yeah, it's not gonna be exciting anymore.
That whole like old prop bet of like 500-1 that somebody returns the opening kickoff for a touchdown, like that's a sucker bet because they're gonna kick it out of the back of the end zone, right?
And I feel like the NFL's almost like just short of like just eliminating football from the name. There's like, no more kicking. This is just dumb. Like kicking doesn't make any sense for really anything other than the extra points kind of relevant because they just missing extra points left and right. That's a little further back.
I have a thought.
Which I like that part.
This.
Yeah.
Is it because soccer has taken hold more and they can't find good kickers?
I don't know.
Because more guys who played soccer can make a career out of it?
No, they changed the distance and the
they
hash
changed
marks.
the distance.
But there just seems like way fewer kickers.
There's less good field goal kickers in general, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, even guys like McManus on the Broncos, who's like one of the best in the league, one of the most accurate ever, he missed a couple extra points a couple games ago. And you're just like, what? How? Like, that just seems like missing a 4-foot putt. I don't get it. How?
Yeah. Like, that's I hate to be like, that's
it's what
your
you
job,
do.
but like, that's your job, dude.
But it's literally all he does because he doesn't even do kickoffs. Like, you've got
Oh, really? Is the
Most
punter the
teams have
kickoffs?
a kickoff guy, a punter, and a field goal kicker. So they're actually paying a dude whatever the league minimum is, $120,000 to
boot it out
kick
of
the
the end
ball
zone.
off. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think maybe McManus does for the Broncos, but a lot of teams have 3. So, yeah, it's crazy, but I don't know. I don't get it.
Look at us smoking hot nerds talking football.
Talking football, we do smoking hot sports stuff too. We know sports. The
Nerds is an umbrella term, which just means to overeducate
everything.
a topic.
Geek about
This
anything.
weekend though is my favorite weekend of the football season. Wildcard weekend is my favorite because you get the Saturday Sunday games, and and this year though they're stacked, so you get 3 games in a
3
row.
and 3.
It's gonna be fun. Yeah, it's definitely my favorite time.
It's gonna be great too because I was trying to. I feel bad for the number 1 seed teams this season because how it's been in the past, when you have the week off, if you're the number 1 seed, you know you're going to be playing the lowest seed of the teams that remain. So you really only have to do prep work for 2 teams. But now because there's 3 games on that first week, you have to study for 4 different teams because of the way that you play the highest or the lowest remaining seed, but that lowest remaining seed might actually be the team that beat the 2 team, right? It could be the 7, the 5, the 7, the 5, or the 6, or the 7, the 4, and the 5, and the 6. You could play any one of those teams depending on how it pans out, because the number 2 seed, if the number 2 seed advances, they play the highest remaining seed. I don't know. The algorithm is wonky, but like from a coaching staff, they've got they have 1 to 2 more teams to try to prepare for that following week. So it's like this week should literally just be, we're going to work on our stuff and not worry about any other teams.
Don't worry about that.
Because it would be impossible, because you could do all the prep work for like Kansas City could do all the prep work for Tennessee, and then Tennessee loses, and it's like, well, shoot.
Yeah.
Who's the number 7?
May as well just wait. Sit back and wait.
Oh man, we have to play the Knoxville Columbos. We're not ready for them.
These guys are rough ones. Did I ever tell you about the time I talked to the guy? When I was writing for that magazine, the Wine and Spirits magazine, I was doing a piece on what was it? Old Smoky Moonshine. And Old Smoky Moonshine just did a big deal at the time.
Music.
Yeah.
Old Smoky.
So delicious. Just did a deal with whatever company does. It's like an Aramark type company that does all of the stadiums, so all the Nashville stadiums and like NASCAR and like Daytona 500 and all that stuff. So they're gonna be in all of these stadiums, but then they're gonna do like special Old Smoky bars, so you can get cocktails. So, anyways, I'm doing the article part of it with the director of marketing for the Tennessee Titans, because they're going to be partnering with this thing. So at the end of the interview, I was like, so let me ask you just a personal question as a fan of football. When are you guys going to change those uniforms? Because they're disgusting. This was the white helmet, turquoise grossness. I was like, when are you guys going to change those uniforms? He goes, well, it's a little bit above my pay grade, but I can say very soon. And it was the next season. They changed them from white to blue. Didn't change the logo, that garbage logo that they've got on the side of their helmets. And I have this like very firm belief that you can't be a good team if your uniforms look like garbage. That's what. Did you notice that the
Broncos?
What are they called? The Buccaneers? They changed their uniforms this year for Brady. So they actually they got rid of those terrible like 3D numbers. They went to like a really standard number pattern, easy stripes, took all the craziness off the helmet, just a pewter helmet with the flag. So they went like super simple because it looks like a football team now instead of an XFL team. So I hate the Titans and the Ravens. Those are the 2 worst uniforms I've ever seen.
The name Titans too feels a little like a minor league.
Yeah.
Well,
They should just gone
in fairness, though,
Tennessee Oilers.
You're just running out of names.
Yeah, that's true. That's why women's leagues are so rough, and MLS.
Because if you can't use you basically can't use a college team, and think of how many colleges there are.
Yeah.
So you're never gonna have somebody like the Tennessee Buffaloes.
That was the thing. Looking at Washington's list of possible teams, was like
I
one
didn't
of
even
them.
do that.
Like they had like 3 college names on there, like the Washington Badgers or whatever. I was like, you can't go with the Washington Badgers. Like,
Right,
it's not
like the
be...
big ones. Yeah. The Washington Buckeyes. Like
the
nah,
Washington Wolverine. Wolverines.
Oh no, who's the other Indian named team? Because you got the Chiefs, of course, which needs to change. Just kidding.
Yeah, Chiefs is fine.
Chiefs is fine. Chiefs is just a French word. No, there's another one in Ohio. Who is it? Cincinnati? No. Cleveland?
Cleveland,
No.
the Browns.
Oh man, who is it? Gosh darn it.
Are you talking about an NFL team
Yeah, an
with
NFL
a
team.
Native American name?
Yeah. Isn't there another one? Yeah, look at your helmets.
You can tell I'm looking at my helmets.
Yeah.
The Steelers. The
Yeah, it's offensive.
the Indian givers. That's not what the Steelers means. It means something else.
Hang on.
The Cleveland Indian Givers. Oh, that's who it is. Sorry, not
The
NFL.
Cleveland Steamers.
The Cleveland Indians. That's who it is.
Oh, the baseball team.
And so
I was
they're
gonna say the Indians. Yeah, they changed.
yeah. So they're like really thinking about. So I think this year they're going to just be the Cleveland baseball team or whatever, same sort of thing. But they really want to call
logo.
they really want to call them the Buckeyes. It's like you can't call them the Buckeyes, man. That's just not going to be a thing. You can't
Their
rip that whole
logo
thing.
is the
bee holes.
real like
right.
That's similar.
Well,
the
they got
Cleveland Indian
rid.
logo is the real nature of like where that disparagement comes.
But they got rid of that a few years ago. So did the Braves.
Right.
Like the crazy wild like Indian face.
Yeah,
They've all got. So the Braves probably have to change, and the Cleveland Indians obviously have to change. But Cleveland's just like they just have that big C as their logo now. Like they've basically eliminated all of the Indian stuff from their thing except for the official name. So, but I think this is the first year they're eliminating that as well. But I think the Broncos could use a facelift.
Yeah, because when we had our hockey team, there was people like they wanted to go something related to Las Vegas.
Not urine.
Yeah,
The Golden Knight. We've all had those.
yeah. So people were like, yeah, let's call them like the Silver Bullets or something like, or we can't call them like the Snake Eyes or anything stupid like that. So they went with the Golden Knights, which the people got mad because the guy he thought he was stealing that from University of Central Florida, UCF, but he happened to go there, and it's this whole story about like. And then so everyone was mad about it, and now everyone is like Golden Knight fever.
Mm-hmm.
And then their feeder team is in Henderson, which is just down the way, and they're the Silver Knights. And people are like, "Boo! Like get out of here! Like you need to settle down." The fact that there's hundreds and thousands of teams that are easily recognizable, you just got to roll with one, unless you're gonna make up a name.
Yeah, maybe the Las Vegas Sam's Towns. That would have been a good one.
The Terribles.
Yeah. The Excaliburs. That'd be great.
Yeah,
the Pyramids. That'd be great.
Nope.
A lot of options.
They should just be the Calibers, and then the farm team could be the Excaliburs.
Oh,
Hey, that's a good one.
it's not bad.
Where were you when they were trying to decide what to call the Vegas football team? I mean, hockey team.
The basketballs. That's
Yeah.
what I was going with.
Yeah.
Las
Well, then,
Vegas
so I
basketballs.
think I told this story, but when the Raiders announced that they were moving here, I filled out a survey online
The
about it.
Redskins. They're like, can we be the Redskins?
It's not taken.
And so I filled out a survey online about it, and then I got a call, and they're like, "Hey, come be part of a focus group." Like, okay, cool. So I actually went into a focus group about the Las Vegas Raiders, and they started out with saying like, what does everybody do? What do you do here in Las Vegas? And I talked to blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, so who's your favorite football team? There were a bunch of Raiders fans in the room, and I said, well, I'm a little conflicted because I am a Chiefs fan, and everyone's like, boo. It's like, but I'm from Colorado, so I'm also kind of inherently a Broncos fan. They're like, well, how does that work? It's like, well,
Whoever's
like,
better.
well,
Duh.
but yeah, it's like, well, two
I'm a bandwagon
weeks
guy.
a year, I just root for football.
Yeah. Exactly.
So that's it. Like, I just root for football 2 weeks a year. And then so I mean, I took the focus group semi-seriously, but they were asking about the stadium, blah, blah, blah. But then they asked at one point, like, it's like, so the people that aren't Raiders fans, what would it take for you to become a Las Vegas team fan in the same way that the Golden Knights like reinvigorated Las Vegas with love. Like there is Golden Knight pride like crazy all over this town.
Yeah.
What would it take? And it's like, it's really, really simple. You got to change your name and you got to change your colors. And like, well, we're never going to do that. It's like, oh, you're right. Because the Tennessee Oilers really got it figured out.
Yeah.
You know, and the Baltimore Colts, you know, they're doing so good. And the guys looked at me. It's like, yeah, they became the Ravens in Baltimore, and then that city embraced him. And when Tennessee switched to the Titans, regardless of how you feel about it, when they switched to the Titans from the Oilers, that city embraced them.
Yeah.
Like if you want this city to embrace the Raiders, you're gonna have to make some changes. Because right now, I mean, there is a huge fan base, and the Raiders were in classic Raider form this year and did horrendous. But it's like if you want to pull this crowd in to maintain this, that's what you got to do. And they're like, well, we don't think that's gonna happen. Like, okay, fine.
If you want California to drive out when there's a game, a home game, then here you go. And is that good for Vegas? Maybe it is. So that's your plan. Maybe use the.
Well, yeah, they want to do that. And they want to get the high speed train because it's going to roll in like super close to the stadium. So they want to pull in like the nostalgia.
But everyone who is a Raiders fan from old school is an Oakland Raiders fan anyways, because they were only Los Angeles Raiders for a little bit of time. Yeah. So
were they twice? They went back and forth.
Back and forth, yeah.
Yeah.
But a couple of,
that's already a problem.
It's
very watered down.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, the Rams kind of had it better.
Whatever. Yeah,
when you're moving from St. Louis to Los Angeles again, same thing where it's like, okay, I can buy that one because it's just such a different fan base. The Chargers one, I guess, kind of makes sense, but oh man, if they had just rebranded and called themselves the Silver Knights or whatever, like then you create a whole new. Well, it's like the Avalanche moving here.
I don't want to lose the Raiders though. That's the hard thing.
You kind of need them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, right. It's the guy asked me, why would you do that? It's like because this will always be the team that was formerly the Oakland Raiders. Like it'll never be our team because it will always be the team that used to be this one.
Right.
And until you cut ties and move it, you know, it's and I hate to say it, but it's not going to happen until there's a personnel change, including ownership.
Oh man,
they got to dump ownership, and they also got to dump Carr and some of their stuff.
What's his name still kicking around?
Yeah, it's Davis's son.
It's Davis's son.
Al Davis.
Mark Davis or Mike or something.
Mikey.
Yeah. No,
So that's a change that needs to occur in order for like this. The city did embrace them. It was really hard the fact that we couldn't go to the stadium all season.
Yeah, right. It's brand new stadium.
People watch. People, I see Raiders stuff all over the city, so they're in it. They're embracing it, and it's going to happen. But it's like if you want to cement that in,
change it.
That's what you got to do, man.
Are they gonna make the Treasure Island guys dress like crazy Raiders fans with spikes?
Yeah, right.
Here's hoping.
Spikes. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. That sounds fun.
One of my I haven't done it, but one of my Halloween ideas is a costume of a really sad Raiders fan.
So any
like
Raiders
that
fan?
I've gone all out, face paint, spikes, and then it's just like you could tell I've been crying.
That's hilarious because I was at a Broncos Raiders game quite a few years ago with Matty K. And it was one of those like 42-3 type of games where the Broncos just wrecked them. And so I went, and then so we went out afterwards. We're at a bar, and I got to go to the restroom. So I get up and I'm walking towards the restroom, and this Raiders fan is standing there waiting in line, and he's not like shoulder pads dressed up, but he's got the face paint, and he's got like the and the thing, and I look at him, and he looks at me, and he goes. I know, man. Ugh. I was like, because he knew he needed to like somehow stave everybody off from wanting to beat him up, and that's what it was. It was the saddest face ever, and he just like looked at people like, please don't kill me. Like this is a rough day, you know. It was great.
Why? So like, if I did that, if I was like, I'm gonna go to the enemy city and I'm gonna dress like an idiot. I'm going to have fun with it. And I'm going to be like, we got destroyed and I'm an asshole. Woo!
Yeah.
And I'd make friends with everybody. Who cares? Because you're dressing like a Klingon. You're gonna go to a bar as a Klingon.
Right.
That's what you're doing when you're dressing up like a Raiders fan.
Yeah.
So it's like it's already comedy. Just embrace it.
Enjoy it. Embrace it.
Stupid. It's great.
See, it helped me embrace the Kings because I would go to quite a few hockey games in LA.
Yeah.
And even then, like wearing Avalanche gear, you just get too much nonsense
Really?
thrown at you. Oh, yeah, it's crazy. So I was like, I'm a Kings fan now. So I just wanted to go to the games as a Kings fan.
Wow, and then they
And
were
not
really
get hassled.
Yeah, and they were really good at that time too. So yeah, like really,
Well,
really
it was
good.
funny that
It's not worth the
beat
trouble.
Chicago.
Yeah.
for my birthday,
Yeah.
like 4 or 5 years ago, they got tickets to the KC Denver game.
Mhm.
So I flew into Denver. I had my KC stuff.
Ugh.
Yeah, I know. And we were sitting there, and it was awesome.
Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Yes.
It was great because KC won, but then also every single Bronco fan was just super cool with me in my KC gear.
Right. Yeah.
And I wasn't like costume, but I had a jersey and stuff like that. And it was like nobody
You go
hassled me,
red
which you
face,
would
that's-
like if we were in LA for a Raiders game and I was wearing KC stuff and KC beat LA, I would have to run to the parking
Yeah,
lot.
you might be killed. Yeah.
Or I just had to like take it off and hide it.
Yeah.
But like no, everyone in Denver was super cool, which is funny that different teams have that kind of stuff. But one more thing they asked us at the survey was, do they need to have a black hole? Which it was in the Raiders Stadium in LA. That was where all like the diehard fans would go, and it became known as the black hole and stuff like that. And they said, well, where do you think we should put that? And I said, don't waste your time. Stop wasting your time on where to do it. The fans will determine where that is.
Yeah.
You can try to set something up. They will determine where it goes. And I'm going to tell you exactly where it's going to be. It's going to be on the south side of the field in the first section of rows, because that will be the only permanently shaded part of that stadium in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Like that's where the black hole is going to be. So just I settle it right
Guess
now.
you got to wait another season till we know
So we
if
can
that's
find
true or
out.
not.
But yeah, it was just funny because they were really concerned. Like, where are we going to put it? Like, don't do that. They will.
Yeah.
It's like the old thing of there's a university in Wisconsin that when it was built, they didn't put in sidewalks. And the architect was like, well, no, I have to put in sidewalks. Like, no. We're just going to open it. Like, well, what are you going to do about sidewalks? Like, don't worry. The students will figure that out. And they did. Then the students just trampled all the grass. And then the next year, sidewalks.
That's where they put the sidewalks in.
That's where they put the sidewalks. It's like, yeah, the people will figure it out.
philosophy.
Like,
Let the cattle decide.
Yeah.
There we go.
Well,
exactly.
which grass are they going to eat?
The
I
sheeps.
don't know. Let them do it.
Let them eat whatever they're gonna eat.
Anyway, I gotta do a thing. If you guys want to hang on for a minute, I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, we can wrap it up here shortly. But have you been watching the foosball?
No.
No.
Yeah, there's been brief little moments where I have watched a couple games, and I don't know. It's been a few years, and honestly, I'll blame the Patriots probably because I think, well, I'm going to blame hockey first off because the second hockey came along. Not that those seasons necessarily overlap much at all. I guess they don't really.
Well, they do
But,
usually.
I don't know. A little bit.
Yeah.
Bookend, I guess. But yeah, being out in New England when at first the Patriots, oh great, a new team's winning. I love when different teams win, and then they kept winning. And I was like, oh, Tom Brady. Oh, Greg, got to hear about Tom Brady again.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Year after year after year after year. And all my friends that aren't from here that are like, I'm a Patriots fan. I'm like, oh, are you? That really means a lot.
Good for you. Yeah, what's it like? What's the morale like out there right now with Cam and a really bad team?
Well, let me put it this way. A couple more years like this, and I'm going to become a Patriots fan. Yeah. Immediately, people were just like,
oh, I bet.
It was like tumbleweeds.
Yeah.
Pretty immediately, I'm just like, wow, it didn't take long.
Yeah. Got off the bandwagon.
Granted, the pandemic, I don't know.
Yeah, who knows, right?
And I wouldn't go to a bar when the Patriots were playing anyways.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But all I know is my friends aren't like, hey, let's have a virtual, let's watch the Patriots thing.
Yeah.
I think everyone's jumped ship immediately because they were all very fake fans. So.
Yeah. I mean, when you're at the top for so long.
20
then,
years.
Yeah,
It was
20
like,
years. And it's not even like 20 years between a couple of quarterbacks. You know, we're talking about one quarterback. I mean, there's some good Bledsoe years for sure, but just
they
to
kind
look
of
at
got
one.
themselves into position.
Yeah.
Before Brady popped
Just
up.
crazy, man. Yeah, it's just unheard
it
of.
just kept forever. And again, I rooted for them. I even frankly, I rooted for them in that perfect season because I just was like, maybe if they can just get that perfect season, they'll go away.
Right.
And then they lost at the end of that Super Bowl, and I was like, oh, no, they're never going to go away. And they didn't.
Yeah, and they actually came back.
It just sat with them, and they were like, oh, we never got that perfect season.
And never
haunted
will.
them, and they kept being amazing for another 10 years.
Yeah.
13 years.
It's an interesting thing, though. I mean, I think Belichick is a really great coach, and clearly him and Brady had something unique. But
well, that consistency.
That consistency there.
And I guess maybe I feel like the GOAT thing, I get it, whatever. But I'd say if Brady seemed like anything, he was always seemed almost pretty consistent, especially when it counted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like his competitive nature when it mattered, he never got the ips.
Right.
It's like Peyton Manning, great regular season guy, but boy, you get to the playoffs and seem like he got the eps or
Things
something
didn't go
happened.
well. Yeah.
And I that was endearing to me, and yeah, Brady has that kind of killer instinct when it matters.
Yeah.
And he's calm and can be like, oh, we're behind 20 points with 3 minutes, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
And the other teams just go, we can't, let's not lose it. And I feel like that's what I would just watch out here. And I'm like, let's see how this team blows this lead. Yep, they blew it.
Right.
Because they're all scared to death of losing, and then they lose.
Yeah. Because there's this whole entire mythology surrounding Tom Brady's fourth quarter comebacks.
Right. And then, it's just team and enough players that have been there and done it and have won. So they're all calm. They're just like, all right, cool. Let's just go and do this. And it's like, yeah, they're going to win because they're chill. And the other team's like,
clinched up,
tightened up. And probably their defense is dead.
Yeah.
At this point.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like that Super Bowl. Ugh. That was the most annoying Super Bowl.
That was beautiful.
The Falcons blew 30 points or whatever.
Yeah.
Remember when my mom texted me, she's like, oh, it doesn't look too good for the Patriots. I was like, there's still another quarter.
Yeah.
Before any of the comeback started, I was like, there's still a whole nother quarter.
When they scored the first touchdown of the second half and then scored another one, I was like, I just said to myself, they're going to win this game. Because you could just see it. You could see that killer instinct. You saw it in his eyes. You saw it in the team's eyes. And then you saw Matt Ryan doing like the clumsy Peyton Manning thing. Like, snaps weren't going well. Things weren't happening. You're like, oh, no, they're going to lose.
It's just it was the mental game at that point.
Yeah.
Well, that and the defense was going, hey, offense, great job at scoring, but can you guys not score in 3 plays every time and leave us out with the Patriots for 50 minutes?
Yeah, exactly. No, that's totally true. Yeah, there's no clock eating going on at that point.
0. Yeah. Like, oh great, yeah, they racked up the score, but
yeah. It's crazy. I mean, and to go from like where the Broncos were at, I mean, it wasn't that long ago, Super Bowl 50 that they won, and had gone, the year before or the year before. 2
years.
Yeah.
Prior,
yeah.
Got licked.
I mean, just crazy to have just this bumbling. I mean, they just don't even look like they're playing the same game most of the time.
They haven't had they've had some quarterbacks with promise and a tinge of consistency here and there, but that's the one thing. If a team like that's why had Drew Brees or what's his name and
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. If you can have a quarterback that can play at that level consistently season after season and not get injured, then that's like the biggest piece of the puzzle.
Oh,
for
sure.
And then you can build a team around them. And so the fact that Brady got injured once, was out maybe half a season throughout his entire run.
Yeah.
That's
Well, same thing with John Elway. he didn't really get injured until the second Super Bowl that they won, where they were like on a tear to almost have a perfect season, and he got hurt. And I think Bubby Brister played like 4 games or something like that, 4 or 5 games, which is hilarious. But yeah, I think consistency is a huge thing, and also sticking with a player. I think teams are super quick to jump ship and try the backup and then try the other backup, and teams aren't as willing right now to like stick with the quarterback they think could be great. So I think that I would almost rather have like a Phillip Rivers type of guy who's like, he's like an 8.5, but let him play 14 seasons, so at least there's a chance.
Right.
As opposed
to
to
what you have, instead of a promise that might not at all be fulfilled.
Exactly. So you're trying to fit other pieces of the puzzle in there.
Yeah, because and that's where again I think Belichick is like, okay, quarterback we don't have to think about. So now let's put all these other pieces, and I think he was good at. I mean, he's ruthless. First off, seems like the second he thinks somebody is just beginning or like at the height of whatever, and they're not going to keep climbing, he's like out.
Yeah.
But he seemed very good at just having a bunch of good players and not a bunch of great flashy people. Like that Patriots team wasn't razzle dazzle. It's not. I mean, they had some great plays, of course. They're all very competent, but they were like a B+ team always. And so it was like, oh, how do you win for 20 years? You're B+ all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because all of those B+ players are trying to be A+ players because they want to live up to Brady and Gronk and that kind of thing. Right. So they're trying to do that.
On their ass if they don't.
Right.
So they've got that nervousness of like, I'm not in a city where I can dink around and I make a tackle and we're getting beat 40-5 and I can celebrate. I can't celebrate. I'm going to go away. I want to live. I want to be on this team. It's a winning team.
Totally. Right? Something goes on in your head once you've got like the money and the fame and stuff. And one of the things that Brady did that is something that zero quarterbacks do is he took less money than he could get in other places so that they could pay more to better players to have on the team. So he could have gone to any team in the league and gotten $24 million a year to play for them, kind of like Matthew Stafford for the Lions. He gets paid $22 million a year to play on the garbage of a team because they don't have any money to pay for anybody else. Right. And Brady didn't do that. He was like the 6th, highest paid quarterback or whatever, which is still not nothing, don't get me wrong, but he left money on the table for better players. And if guys like Stafford and Rivers and people like that had been that smart, they might have a couple Super Bowls under their belt too. So,
right. And that's where, and I'm curious. So I guess that's certainly a thing. That's important. But thinking about like an Elway, when you talk about the greatest, and I'm certainly not saying Elway is the greatest, but you think of great quarterbacks that didn't have the coaching or didn't have that team around them, didn't have those things, and you're like, who the heck knows what an alternate reality would have been, if they had certain things. It's like the second Elway got a good coach behind him, boom.
Yeah.
There it was, but he was old. It was at the end.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Still pulled it off, but yeah, it was.
He drug a bunch of mediocre teams to Super Bowls and got embarrassed, but yeah.
Yeah, but he got there, which very few teams could say they did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but like, where do people put Elway on the list of the greats? Yeah. Maybe top 10 certainly, but I don't know. Maybe. Depending who you are. So one thing real quick, talking about what we've watched before we depart here, is I did watch Raised by Wolves. Which probably would have made my best show list if I had watched it.
Is that on Apple TV or?
It's HBO Max.
HBO Max, okay.
And I don't. It's probably not for everybody, but it's very. I didn't look up if Ridley Scott created the idea, came up with it, because some other guy wrote it, but Ridley Scott directed the first couple and executive produced it. And it's very like circling the drain of what Ridley Scott's been doing for the last kind of 15 years. It's like Prometheus meets Kingdom of Heaven.
Yeah, it's on my
Is the
radar
best
for sure.
way to put it. Yeah, and I think the consensus is like, oh, the first half of the season's like awesome, and then it kind of peters and it gets weird at the end. It's like what Ridley Scott's been doing,
It's science fiction, yeah.
Where you're like, yeah, it's sci-fi. There's some interesting points and there's some wackiness and whatever, but I like the mix.
Did you get to the end already, or not yet?
Yeah, I banged out the first season in a couple days.
Should we watch it?
10 episodes, maybe 40 to 50-minute episodes each.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, I would say definitely you can watch those first 2 episodes, and I think you'll be like, oh, yeah.
The old 3-episode try.
Yeah, for sure. But the first episode, a lot of stuff happens, and you're like, oh, it's got a good hook on the first episode for sure. Again, it's androids. It's all these things that Ridley Scott's been playing with, and I think where Prometheus tried to, where he tried to talk about different things, religion, all this stuff. This is a better kind of sandbox to ask those same questions, and it makes sense. It's more intrinsic as opposed to shoehorning.
Yeah,
and he doesn't have to jam the alien into it.
Right.
So
That's cool.
It works better in that. Yeah,
it's intrigued me as I've been thumbing through the apps trying to figure out what to watch on some days.
Yeah, HBO Max. Yeah, check it out.
Might have to.
Did we talk about the Snyder Cut when that comes out? It's like soon. It's January, so it's like, is it next week?
Really?
That soon? Next week.
Wow.
I could. Yeah, WandaVision. I am stoked for. I thought Snyder Cut. I'm pretty sure the last time I heard about it, it was January, but I don't remember if it was like this week or next week, end of January. I'd have to look it up, but we should definitely.
No idea what is going on with that WandaVision trailer.
WandaVision?
What is that all about? Yeah.
I think that's by design. I don't want to conjecture about what it's trying to do because I would like to be wrong.
Is the show taking place in that period between the 2 movies, or when does the show take place?
Well, so I will say this about what I know, and where it comes from is where one of my complaints about the Scarlet Witch has always been the misrepresentation of her abilities. They make it appear that she is like a Dark Phoenix, is a telepath, but her ability in the comics is actually the bending and shaping of reality. So it appears to be like telekinesis, but she's actually fluctuating reality.
Okay.
And in the comics, there's a thing called, I'm going to screw it up. It's called like X Day or something like that. It's to the point where she had like a mental breakdown and said, no more mutants. And it literally wiped out 70% of the mutant population, but it's because her power is reality bending.
Okay.
And then in order for her to, she did that, they kind of put her in this weird, like comatose state where they kept her mind active while they tried to repair X Day. So my conjecture is that, right, she's hiding with Vision from Thanos, something like that. And I said, I want to be wrong because that's a deep topic that's not going to carry a lot of people. So I'm hoping they're just doing that. It's them hiding, but then like playing with reality.
Well, it's definitely in her brain. And so all these different realities are being created. We can probably pretty safely assume that it's her brain, whether she's controlling it or not.
Right. Like, is it right?
Understands what she's doing.
Is it like a sedated state and we're basically watching her subconscious process? Because the Vision could absolutely do something like that.
She's been put in a coma and she's
right.
Yeah.
So that's what it's like. That's why it's like I don't want to conjecture too much about what it is because it could get really deep and tricky really fast. And it's like, no, but I want to enjoy the show, so stop it.
Right. Yeah.
Stop it, Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm stoked for that and the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, coming up.
Just like because when we first talked about it, just to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Like I don't think people are gonna like it. I still hold to that, and especially now that Wonder Woman is not great. So I think it's for me. It's just like watching Casablanca or watching something where you're like, I probably need to see this for all perpetual reference, but I'm probably not going to come back to it.
No, there's
Well,
no
like
point.
If Casablanca was re-released, but George Lucas had a bunch of CGI.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right, because that's the thing. That's what's funny about the whole
But that would imply that Justice League
was that good. Yeah. The big thing is the Steppenwolf thing where they're like, oh, it wasn't what I envisioned. It's like, oh, so it's still just going to be a giant CG nonsensical looking creature,
Like
right?
they just added more spikes to
Yeah.
it.
It's not going to be
like,
better.
Oh, now it's better. And it's like what we're talking about. It's like Monster Energy drink, right? Where they're like, oh, let's just... 13-year-old boys, you gotta think this is bitching. What would 13-year-old boys want? I feel like that was just like, let's just dump a ton of 13-year-old testosterone at this thing.
Yeah.
Visually.
That's basically what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is something maybe Wonder Woman could have used as a little more 13-year-old testosterone in there. Just a little
one
something.
Thing I forgot about Wonder Woman was I love her character acts where she's like, she just wants to be like low key and whatever, and she goes to that gala and she has a dress with a slit that goes up to her vagina. And you're like, okay.
Right.
You want to be low key.
We don't want to stand out. Just be subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Modest.
Top half very sophisticated, sexy, right? It's not. She wasn't trashy looking at all.
It's not a dress you sit down in at all. Yeah, because when you do, you leave a trail
or walk.
Yeah.
Or leave
No,
your
you
house in
didn't.
without showing off your vagina. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, it was kind of like the dresses she wore in the first movie. Where you see the diagrams of people who drew like what it would really be like to have the sword down her back. They're like, well, the sword, in order to be, like literally between her butt cheeks and then like sticking out the bottom in order for that sword to fit all the way down her back in the dress. Like, that's funny. Yeah. But Nick, you're like, sounds about right.
Well, no, it's funny because I have a friend who did that. Like, put on a dress, got a sword, like
stuck it between his butt cheeks.
And it was like, you can totally do it. Like, you don't look comfortable though.
Maybe if you're into that.
Yeah, that's not sharp. That sword was sharp.
No, it was a prop sword.
No, I mean in the movie though.
Oh, in the movie.
Yeah, real sword.
Yeah, but she's Amazon from the Themocles, so
Simon
Spoogamocles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Ted Lasso. Just started that one.
Oh, yeah,
I saw you post that. Yeah. I've seen some clips from it.
Liked it.
Yeah, my buddy Brent.
My Sudeikis feelings.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. Like, I've never like traditionally been a Sudeikis fan, but I'd burned through. I decided this year I want to watch more. I just didn't watch enough stuff. I really want to like kind of get my lexicon going again and stuff. So I've watched True Detective season 3, which is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely get in there on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Chernobyl on HBO. Definitely get in on that one. Really good. And then I was like, I wanted to watch something moody, but there was nothing moody that was tripping my trigger. Oh, I wonder if we should talk about this now. It's late. So I'll just say that I went to Ted Lasso after something else I stopped watching, and I love it. It's great. It's like a high budget web series. It's like it's not going to give you like anything like, but it's really good. Like a lot of heart.
I've heard heart.
Yeah, lots of heart. Really great stuff. But I did start watching Ted Lasso after I turned off the first 20 minutes of Tenet.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to return to it. I will go back to it.
Tenet is not
friends
a
actually
casual
have feelings
watch.
about
No, but it wasn't supposed to be. I sat down to watch a movie, and it came up to rent. And for one, absolutely, like just sat through the first 10 minutes. Like I had to turn the subtitles on for a second because I couldn't understand what the hell was going on. I had no idea what anyone was saying. because everyone's talking into masks anyways. And it was just like bonkers.
Right.
And it was like, it had such deep Inception vibes that I couldn't like get it out of my head. I was like, what's going on? I don't know what's happening.
Oh, I see. You were trying to figure it out before.
Yeah, I was trying to understand what was going on.
Yeah.
But then once the masks come, have you seen it, Eric?
No.
Okay, I won't ruin
I've
anything
had
for you.
friends talk about it.
Yeah. Once the gas masks come off and everybody's, you see their face and they're acting, and the guy who plays the protagonist is so bad. Like, I cannot stand him at all. Like, all of his acting.
About Washington?
Yeah.
Denzel Washington.
His acting is so on the nose, and everything comes with this big facial like thing.
Yeah.
And then I was like, what is going on?
He does a lot of this.
Yeah, like this.
He talks to somebody,
this.
he tips his head and like set on the side of his eye.
A lot of this, and he's moving, he's shifting himself constantly, like just a lot of tics that actors don't have. And I was like, why is he bugging me so much? I mean, for one, it was just bad acting. And then I looked him up, and he was in Ballers. And he's the reason why I stopped watching Ballers.
Oh,
because
really?
He made
Okay.
Ballers feel like it made it feel like the first season of Dexter. Like, you remember when Dexter came out, and you're like, okay, clearly all the money went to Michael C. Hall and the production design, and none of the actors.
Yeah.
They got lucky on a couple of characters, but most of the other ones were just garbage. And that's what Ballers was like, where I was like, I love The Rock, I love Cordry, but this dude who's supposed to be like an NFL player is driving me nuts because he acts as if he is an NFL player that they pulled in to play an NFL player. So I was just over it. Like, I was like, I can't stand this dude. He's so bad.
He's good in Black Klansman though.
Oh, see, I've not seen that. But it was just a lot, man. And like he's got this whole scene with what's her name from In Bruges, who I love.
Oh yeah, Fleur Delacour from Harry Potter.
And you could tell she was just carrying it. Like, she was carrying that scene. Like, and I could almost see it in her face. Like, this guy is a joker. Like, I can't act with him. It was just so bad. So I was like, between like having to try to keep up with Nolan's insane writing and acting that I can't stand, I shut it off. And I was like, I'll go back to it. I'll return to it someday because I got to see it because you love it so much. So I gotta like see what this is all about.
I feel like though it's a very Nico movie.
Yeah.
In the way that the Nico brain will like it, and a lot of other people will go,
Yeah.
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 For me, I'll watch it.
Well, because
yeah,
his character in Ballers is rough. He's in Black Klansman though, and is awesome. Is really good. That movie in and of itself is awesome. So he kind of got a free pass, I guess, for Tenet.
Yeah.
Was that I wasn't watching Tenet for his performance.
Right.
So as long as he didn't marble mouth his way through it, I'm good.
Yeah, it was close.
Like I don't need him to be great. I just need him to be there and push forward.
Yeah.
And then plus you didn't really even get into Pattinson, and Pattinson helps that movie carry. So it's worth getting into the Robert Pattinson stuff.
But that's the thing. Like, I got into the scene where they meet for the first time at the hotel.
Yeah.
And so you got Robert Pattinson, who's a really good actor. And there's a moment where the waiter comes by and he's like, Pattinson's like, I'll have a vodka tonic and he'll have a Diet Coke. And then he goes, I know everything about you. You don't drink when you're on the job. And then like Tenet guy goes, yeah, but I like club soda better. And I was like, what is going on? What happened to your face? And then said something else, and he does this thing. He was like it was like DiCaprio, him being an actor in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Like, it was that bad. I was just like, what is going on? Yeah, I don't even know how Nolan let this go. Yeah, you might love it. I don't know how they didn't, like, there had to have been screen tests and things happening, and then dailies where they had to have been like,
on the rise
these dailies are bad, man. Like, we got to do something about this, because he's not holding his own with any of the other actors at all. He was fine when he had a gas mask on, but besides that,
no,
it was-
I like I said, I was my focus was on so many other things.
Yeah.
He just needed to say words. And,
See, I couldn't focus on the words.
It's like the thing. Like once you see it, then you can never not see it.
Yeah, it's like the new Forge and Fire host. Can't stand him, so it's just like, yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's bad, dude.
Oh no.
Yeah.
The ponytail guy's gone.
Yeah. Will Willis, he left. They got a new guy named Grady something, Grady Tubbleson, and the dude is so bad. I don't know where they got him. I don't
What are
know.
you talking about?
The show Forge and Fire, the knife making show. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And they got this new dude who's the new host. So they did like 7 seasons or 6 or 7 seasons. This is like 7 or 8. And I don't know where they got him or how he made it past. But they're like on episode 6, and I'm just like, when is he going to get fired? They must have shot like a season, like an episode a day or something, because there's no way they didn't get into the editing bay. Because I was just thinking about Brian. I was thinking about Brian cutting this and thinking like somebody had to have been like, we can't cut around him anymore. So they do this thing where Will, who's the other host, used to narrate certain aspects of it, and he doesn't do it. The judges do these things now because he talks so fast and he mumbles his words. And you know how hosting, you have to like keep your hands kind of like low and kind of here and make sure your gestures are kind of like, you know, very deliberate.
Yeah.
He stands and does this the whole episode. Rubs his hands right here, right in front of his face.
Right into the microphone.
Yeah. It's so bad, dude. It's like I don't even know how like one of the judges who have been on the show for so long haven't just pulled him to the side and been like, "Hey, dude, you gotta like stop doing this.
Yeah.
This is
Even
real
the
annoying."
sound guy or just anyone.
I know,
Director.
right?
I mean, there's still directors on these things, aren't
Yeah, you'd think so.
Oh, we started
Hope so.
rewatching Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, nice.
That's a show. But you just reminded me. So, I don't know if it's still a thing or not, but like when Walking Dead came out, there was the show after the show where they basically just digested the episode and had people come on. I can't remember Talking Ted, right? So that took off and was
Walking Dead, where they just
Right.
things.
where it was hugely popular. But when Sons of Anarchy came out, they tried to do the same thing, but they had I don't remember his name. He had a terribly failed show on Fox. He was a comedian, but they had him host it, and then they had the guy who plays Bobby, who's kind of the larger dude, long hair, goatee, but in the early seasons was a very serious and ended up being a very serious character. But there's a table in church that the president sits at, and then everyone else sits at in order. It's like the president sits here kind of thing. And they did the beginning of this episode, and the host was just like, "Hey guys, we're doing this thing. It's really great. Let's talk about Sons of Anarchy." And the guy playing Bobby came in almost in character and was like, "You do," like he kept looking off screen, like, what is this guy doing? Yeah. And then he's like, "Great, let's talk about the episode." And he went and he sat down at the head of the table, and the guy looked at him like, "Do you even watch our show, man?" And then I kid you not, 2 of those later, brand new host.
Yeah.
Right, like they were just like, "Get out."
Yeah.
And I stopped watching it because it was just super bad anyway. But it was just really funny. He's like,
remember when that guy was riding his bike?
Yeah, it was like
awesome.
that. And the guy who played Bobby was just like,
punch that guy.
He would look at the guy like, "Are you serious, man?" And you could tell he's looking at like a producer or something. Just like,
what is happening?
What do you want me to do with this?
Yeah.
It reminded me of that though, because it's like people are just like,
yeah. Well, you can see like the terrible chemistry that he has with the host. It's just not there at all, and they're almost just kind of like, "Ugh, this is not good."
Like we've made a mistake.
Yeah.
Well, but then shows that have something established, and you bring someone in, it's already a rough road.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's like when I watch that How It's Made, and they for a short time there was a different narrator of How It's Made.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, I can't. What's going on?
It really bumps you. Yeah.
I can't watch how socks are made with this voice.
Well, finish up real quick too. I listened to like a lot of podcasts, but one of them I listen to a lot is Tim Ferriss, and his stuff is typically like he has, just people on who, is like, oh, he's a billionaire investor. And so they talk about how he got there. So I listen to a lot of those kinds of podcasts, which are like, high achievers and athletes and actors and things like that.
Yeah.
But then Tim Ferriss was on this guy named Guy Raz, his podcast, and he does this podcast for NPR. And I used to hear NPR in the background because someone that I used to date would listen to it all the time. And I hate the NPR aesthetic, like hate it. It's like the worst. And so Tim Ferriss was on this guy's podcast. So they just use that audio for his podcast. And Tim Ferriss never talks about himself. So I'm like, cool. I'm like excited to hear this. And so they're having this conversation. And then as they're having the conversation, like slowly comes in like this, like, I don't even know like xylophone jazz, behind them. And then it just fades away. And then Tim will be talking about something, and then slowly it will be like boom, boom, doom, 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 boom, 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 boom. You're like, what is going on? And so that was just like the style of his show. Is they just randomly play like royalty-free jazz behind the person who's talking. It's bonkers. And so it's that same thing where I was just like, I can't listen to this. This is gonna make me kill somebody.
Killing it.
Yeah.
You're killing Independent George.
Yeah. So bad. Well, guys, I feel like I sufficiently
So what are we
talked too
doing
much tonight.
next week? What do you think?
I don't know. We'll talk about it off the air. All right, everybody out there in Radio Land, thank you for listening to the Smoking Hot Nerds podcast, Nerds After Dark. It's been a lovely evening of chatting with you all. Hope you have a great night. And we will see you